smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio here at fftradio.com. Food for Thought Radio here at fftradio.com.
Order.
No, order. Sit and leave.
This is the best political satire broadcast in the universe.
Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this.
You are listening to Fockham Hall with Eric von Essex.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting show. Our guest tonight should be Nathan Allenby, but if you could look under your beds, in your cupboards or anywhere like that to find out where he's hiding and drag him into the studio, please. And at the very last moment, Paul or Anorak has come on to save the day.
Good
Thanks,
evening,
mate.
all.
It's much appreciated. So, can you do can you impersonate Nathan Allenby? Do you reckon you could do? You know.
No, I can't.
No.
I'm interested in the hidden power of words, though, I have to say, because they do mean something more than what we think. They are
Well, that's
spells,
the
after
thing.
all.
It's all according to how you word things. And I did an article on Telegram today about objectives and memes. And the big problem I've found with and it's not a criticism, we can't help it, it's easy to criticize, but with the truth movement and everybody that wants to dig ourselves out of this terrible trench that we're in, with psychopaths ruling us and turning the place into a hellhole, and that is an objective, a clear objective.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. I don't think we've got a clear objective to work to, and it can only be done with the hidden power of words. We've got to be
But as I
powerful.
said last night, that I think that's the biggest challenge we've got is we don't know what the destination is and what it looks like. But I do think, and I know I keep on about unity. Unity is the biggest thing we could have. That's probably our most
Yes.
powerful tool.
I agree.
Because they want us divided. If we're in unity with each other, if we all unite, they lose. Simple as that.
And also, well, I agree with you there. And I think also tap on people's individual skills. For example, we have yet to get a successful meme. The most successful meme, I think, of all times, even though I disagree with it, was the First World War poster of Kitchener pointing and saying, "Your country needs you." It's so brilliant. It really is brilliant. It's been copied throughout the world. And I don't think anybody's ever beaten it. That is just, whoever came up with that one was just pure genius. Again, I don't agree with it, but it is fantastic. Because wherever you went, you just Kitchener pointing at you saying, your country needs you.
Well, at the moment it does, but I think back then it didn't, because obviously as we've said many times, that wars are choreographed by the same people. So basically what they were saying was, your country needs you to go and die for some elite muppet, parasite, whatever it is. Actually, we haven't had a raspberry and a two-finger salute for a while. Can we have the Rothschild family, please?
Rothschild family, certainly. On up to an American one. Yes, the Rothschilds. Yes, they're really family. And what is it I heard about? Oh, well, that was it. When Britain abolished slavery, we had to pay compensation to the slave owners. And guess where we got a loan from? Any guesses?
Oh, what letter does it begin with?
Oh.
Were they pirates then?
Well, the Rothschilds made a fortune out of it. Absolute fortune out of it. And
wasn't it the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller family that supplied the IBM machines to the certain chambers, shall we say, if they actually
Yes,
existed. Obviously,
that's
that's a bit controversial.
that's correct.
And
Yes,
didn't they
they
also
did.
didn't the Americans supply Coca-Cola to somebody like the Germans or the Russians during World
Yes,
War Two?
that's right. And did you know that Fanta comes from Germany?
Does it?
Because yeah, they invented it during World War Two. But not only did they supply, I mean, the Rockefellers were so patriotic. They actually, via Romania, throughout the war, supplied Germany with oil. Isn't that marvelous?
That's kind of them.
And they actually had Standard Oil on the side of the wagons that went into Germany, and the American Air Force was ordered not to fire at them. Seriously,
It sounds
that's
about
true.
right.
Yep,
But you see
that's about it.
see those sort of things should be enough for anybody listening in, even if you're new to this. That you should, from that alone, you should know that wars are not between the general public and the general public. It's always
That's
between
right.
bloodlines and bloodlines, basically. Or there's
Yeah.
always an agenda behind it to effectively control us further down the line. Like obviously,
Well,
like with the 9/11 was to bring in more stringent controls at airports, even though
that's right.
you get on a plane and you have to be basically fondled in every orifice that they can possibly find.
Hmm.
But you can jump on a Eurostar train across to France and they don't bother.
Spot on.
Should
Spot on.
it's the same principle. If they're concerned some terrorists going into another country, like, everywhere.
Well, Grizzlies came up with something very interesting. Grizzly said, this is Grizzly 51, says Rothschilds also owned the slave ships. Yes, and did you know they also got compensation whilst given the loan for losing out on the slaves? Seriously. So they made it, so they gave a loan out and then they received compensation because they were slave owners. Nice little learner, wasn't it? Lovely.
Well, I wonder if like in 40 years' time or 50 years' time, we can all claim money for slavery because that's technically what we are, whether
Yeah.
we like it or not. That's what we're all slaves to the system. I've been watching
Well,
a Mark Devlin video today
Mhm.
again, and he's been talking about that, about how getting out of this slave system, and if what we're on is all satanic, which it seems like it is, for it to be such a violent place. I guess we need to find somehow. We need to also our ultimate objective will be to get out of this hellhole and actually get into a realm where love and peace and all the rest of it's
Hmm.
in existence.
You're spot on there. But the thing is that people, this is another thing I was saying in it. If you ask people what freedom do they want, you get all different versions. You get the La La Land, there's going to be a spiritual awakening. And I said in uncertain words on my Telegraph channel that the only spiritual awakening they're going to get is a jackboot up their backside. Not exactly in those words. That'll be a spiritual awakening for them from the government. A government jackboot, boom, straight up the bum. That's
But
what they're
then,
going to get.
but then that said, I do think we are moving up in consciousness, and we do.
Hmm.
There's things that we see now that we didn't see 5 years ago, 6, 10 years ago, however long people have been awake for. So you certainly see there's certainly enlightenment there, in that
Hmm.
you see the world for what it perhaps truly is, in that
Uh,
it's all full
Oh,
of
you're
lies,
right.
basically.
But the world has shrunk phenomenally. I mean, the idea of going to war with Germany now is out of the question. It's the same with Russia, I think, even though they're trying to force one. But when you look at it, let's look at it from a German perspective, okay? Those poor sods, especially when we was born in Germany, and you've been through the First World War with, you know, might have lost your father or relatives and things like that. Then you're in absolute dire poverty. And then some fella comes along who was a corporal during World War One and says, I can solve this problem for you. I'm going to have no homeless on the streets. And he does it. Aren't you going to support him? You're bloody stupid not to. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And people say, oh, you know, this and that. Well, he did achieve. I'm not praising him. Don't get me wrong, because I do not believe in totalitarianism. Don't get again. People think, oh, he's always one of these goose stepping. No, 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 no. I'm looking at it as a fly in the wall, and you can't blame people for supporting that because, especially if you're on your back, the only place you can go is upwards. And really, if you're homeless and someone's offering you a home, bloody hell, you're going to grab it. You're going to support them. You'd be bloody stupid not to, wouldn't you? And I
You
feel
would,
sorry for these
unless
boys.
there's clauses involved which say that we'll give you this home, but in return you're going to be a slave till the day you die. Then I suppose
Yes.
that because there's always small print that involved with that sort of thing, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
And they don't.
There it is.
You never get anything for free in this world without there being some
Well,
sort of, apart from breathing, so far.
well, that's it. But it's a good point there. But I'm thinking there might be a clause with these. Now, I feel sorry for these people coming across on the boats. They are pawns in a chess game because
Definitely,
they
yeah.
come from countries that have got bugger all. They're being offered sweets and goodies to come here, and they're taking it. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't I? Yeah, I would if I was in their position. But I think there's a clause. That's the reason they're getting them here, and why we're not quite clear on what it is. It could be cannon fodder for the next war. It could be to boot our doors in when the police state starts. I just don't know. But it seems strange that
I
all
still
men
think
and
it's there.
yeah.
I still think it's there to cover up how many people have been lost during, thanks to the arms spears. I still stand by that because if this, I
Hmm.
mean, I don't do the census, and I suspect most people in the audience don't, and I suspect you don't either.
No, I don't.
But I suspect the census based on over the last 5 years will show a massive reduction in the population through the arms spears. But of
You
course,
got a
by
good
bringing
point.
in 20,000 people on the boats every couple of weeks, that figure will still remain the same, won't it? So ultimately, they're
Hmm.
hiding the truth, like they always do, I guess.
You got a good point, but trouble is, why aren't they bringing their wives and families over? Why is it only single men under the age of 30?
Maybe
This
they're
is
all
what I
gay.
find. Could be, could be. Well, no. But I like what DJ B2 said. He says Andy Burnham to bring in breathing tax to combat climate change. And
Yeah.
Matilda says, do fat people need more oxygen? Yeah, they'd be on super tax, wouldn't they?
Well, I reckon that the larger person should be charged extra if you're traveling on train or a bus,
I know, because I've had one
normally
sitting next to me.
one cheek takes up one seat and the other cheek takes up the other, so
Yeah.
they should be paying for
Well,
two seats.
I actually used to, when I used to travel to London, I used to sit with my briefcase on my lap, you see, and I was sitting there, and this big fat woman come and sat next to me once. I've never forgotten it. And she decided to sort out the contents of her handbag. And what was a suitable place to put the contents of her handbag? On my briefcase. I'm just sitting there, and she's just, and there's all sort of personal things, and I just didn't say a word. I just sat there, just completely puzzled and shocked. I thought, lucky for her, my station is Liverpool Street, because if it wasn't, I'd just get straight up and it'd all go all over the floor. But I think she was as nutty as a fruitcake. But I'll never forget that. I was thinking, but she was one of these women that was, shall we say, very rotund, with a skirt that just about covered the embarrassment.
She got off the door sideways.
Yes. And so it's like you can hear these as she's going down the corridor. You sort of think this. And she's going past the seats because she's sort of just about getting past. But
The driver's sitting there thinking, "Shit, I'm flying an aeroplane here."
but what I think to do though, didn't give a damn about me sitting with a briefcase. I mean, I was just sitting there because in the mornings I didn't read any newspapers. I just sort of gazed out the window. I was half asleep most of the time. But going home, I used to buy the Evening Standard. I don't know if they still sell it, do they? The Evening Standard? Do they still sell it? Have you been to London at
I
all?
wouldn't like to say, unless there's a shortage of bog paper.
Oh, it's crap. And they brought out once Pravda. Seriously, in the 80s.
Who?
Pravda, which is the Russian newspaper, which means truth. And it was translated into English. And you could pick it up free at stations. It's Pravda. I don't know whether it was communists doing it or what. I don't know. I've read it. It's not all shit, so I didn't bother with it. but there used to be loads.
But
Yeah,
do you?
yeah. Sorry, Karen, mate.
Well, I know you don't use public transport much
Mm.
these days, but do you find, I don't know when the last time you used public transport, there was like steam or what, but do you find that if you use public transport, trains in
Mm.
particular, you know, when you got the table seats and you got the seat sat
Yeah,
where you sat opposite someone. Now, with my intelligence, I always think if I'm sat by the window, if somebody gets on, they should sit on the seat diagonally across from you,
yeah,
so you can both. Whilst the train's fairly quiet, so you can both stretch out. The amount of people now who sit right opposite, and you think,
yeah,
"Why have you sat there for?"
yeah.
And they sit there and sit there and sit and think, "Piss off to the other seat, and
Hmm.
then we can both stretch out."
Well,
And add this to
yeah,
render times. Uh,
I
People
know what
don't
you
seem to be
mean.
able to think. Well,
Well, I actually was on the train once. I never forgotten it. It was an empty train. I was going down to London. I can't remember the reason why. And it's about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I got on one of these bloody trains that stopped at almost every other station. I thought, oh, sorry, it's going to take a month of Sundays. And it sort of trundled into a sort of London area. And a gentleman of a, how can I put this? Long ringlet and beard and funny hat persuasion got on. And it's an empty carriage, and he comes and sat right next to me. And it's a day like today, boiling hot and absolutely steaming hot it was. And he's got his overcoat on and a scarf and gloves and woolly socks. And I was sitting there, and I thought, well, if I move, he's going to think I'm Anti Semolina. But I thought in the end he can think it, so I got up and moved. But it wasn't because of that. Because
well, what I find quite, what I find funny on ours, because we got class 158s to work up down here,
yeah,
and they're air conditioned, but the air conditioners never worked on them because various operators have paid to have the trains refurbished. But every time the people who do the refurbishing have said, "Should we sort the air conditioning out?" They always said no. So they've got
yeah,
windows that the guard can open, and they stay open so you get a bit of air through. And it's so funny when you sit and watch people. People try pushing the windows back to try and shut them, but they won't shut because the guard has to come and lock them. It's absolutely entertaining.
yeah.
People they'll sit in their seat and literally push the window there and leave it, and they leave their hand on it. You think it's 30 degrees outside, just let it open.
I know what you mean.
People are funny to
They are
watch.
funny. I mean, because I'm old enough to get the free bus pass, I thought, well, being a tight-fisted git, I might as well use it. You see, and so what I did is what I used to do when I was a child. That is, you got on the bus, always go upstairs because it's empty.
And the front seat.
Front seat upstairs. That's my spot. So I went up there, and then I had this woman with a bleeding kid come up there. I thought, oh, sod off, you know.
Oh,
Piss
yeah.
off. And I just like to keep out the way of people. It's quite interesting, I'd say, looking down on people's gardens and things like that. But bloody hell, I don't know, sway around, and you sort of,
Oh yeah. It's part of the entertainment. That is.
yeah, yeah,
You know, y you know, I mean, even things like that, the way buses are designed now, double deck buses in particular, are designed now to have the staircases facing towards the back of the bus.
mm.
Because
Hey,
years gone by, like in the 80s and 70s, quite often the staircase faced forward.
that's right.
Well, the amount of times that drivers have jammed the brakes on and then people have fallen down the stairs and gone out the door. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
that's door-to-door service. That's proper,
that's it.
very efficient.
Yeah.
That's But yeah, apparently these days they have to all be pointing backwards so that people
Oh my
don't fall
god!
down them.
I used to like the route masters where the bus was on a traffic lights. You just go on it, and the bus conductor.
Yeah.
It wasn't illegal. Nobody ever just said. Although I must admit, I did see once something rather. I shouldn't laugh at people's misfortune, but I will on this occasion. And sorry, uh, there was a bus lane, and I could hear this. I thought, what's going on? And and I was walking along, and as the conductor going ding 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 to stop the bus, and a bloke had grabbed the handrail, missed his footing, suddenly and sort of turned round And it was a bit like, Kenny Everett when he took off a perv, he had the sort of suit at the front, the underpants. Well, it wasn't as bad as that, but when he got up, there's all the back of his shirt all ripped off, sod. His trousers, arse hanging out of his trousers. And he's still holding his briefcase. And he was sort of holding on with one hand. I mean, the logical thing is to let go, isn't it? No, he held on. And he's got his briefcase all falling to bits as well. Interesting.
And the thing is, how do you get your composure back from that? Because it's not like I always remember Peter Kay saying that. Why is it when people run for buses and they miss them, they pretend they weren't running for them? But in that sort of
Yeah.
scenario, you couldn't sort of climb the
Not
bus
really,
and get
no.
your call back, could you? Because people were thinking, "What an idiot!"
Well,
Because there's another one behind.
well, how did he get home without people thinking he was a pervert? There was the arse hanging out of his trousers. But what?
Well,
Yeah.
but then I wonder when he got home, I wonder if his wife or partner, or whatever, said, "Oh, have you had a good day, love?" Yeah, does it look like it? It's like when you go to supermarkets and I get what again, another thing of logic. I know we're
Yeah.
off subject here, but how come when you go into a supermarket or like Marks and Spencers
Mm.
and you go to the till, put the stuff on the conveyor, come to the cashier, and you've got your bag there, about to fill it, and they say, "Do you need a bag?" And you think, "Yeah, what do you think I'm doing? Give this one a guided tour or something?"
Yes, that's
Uh,
that's
And maybe it's just part of the script they have to read out. But you think, well, isn't it bloody obvious that I don't need a bag? I've got one here.
well, that's a very good point. And also, the only time I go into McDonald's is to use their lavvy. And last time I went in, I could hear this girl behind the counter saying, "You want fries?" As I walked out, and she said to the next customer, "You want fries?" And that's all she could say. "You want fries?" No, dear, we're in England and we call them chips over here. In America, they call them fries. We're English. We don't speak American. I felt like an actor and said, they're chips. Mind you, they're chemical shit, basically, but we won't go to that.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't even describe it as food, to be
No,
fair. In fact, I don't think I've set foot in a McDonald's now for 25 years or
I
more.
haven't eaten a McDonald's.
Maybe back then it was probably a little bit
Hmm.
better, but I suspect not.
But that's the only time I use them. I use their lavvy. Seriously, that's it. I wouldn't eat anything or drink anything.
And you know that their toilets are connected to the fryers, don't you? That's why the burgers taste like.
Precise. Well, I'll never forget when my dad was alive. I usually take a vacuum class when I go out, and I forgot. And we're sitting in the car, and this was when was it now? It's a sort of like a Sunday, I think it was. But it was a time. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was a weekday, but it was when the shops are shut. It's about 8 o'clock at night. And I was gasping, spitting feathers. It was this sort of weather. And the only place that was open was a McDonald's. And I said, well, I'm dry as a bone. Surely they can't put chemicals in their tea, can they? So he said, well, yeah, I'm thirsty. So I said, well, look, I'll nip round and I'll bring back to the car, you see. So I went and I ordered 2 teas. And I got them in these, the cardboard containers, took them back to the car. And I'm not kidding you, for about 20 minutes, the water, it was not natural. It was scalding hot, absolutely scalding hot. I've never known a liquid to be so hot. We just couldn't drink it. We just sat there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That must have been microwaved or something. I don't know. It was bloody hell. And
Unless it was water combined with something else that keeps the heat, like I don't know what,
yes,
like magnesium or something like that. I don't know. So if it's McDonald's, I mean, that's like I said before. When our McDonald's up here went on, they went to refurbish it. All the rats went out and celebrated because they knew they get some real food for a while.
I know what you mean.
And they went on hunger strike when they reopened it.
Well,
In a horrible
oh
place.
Christ, yeah. I mean, I think the mice are picketing.
And the other place as well, Subway.
Oh, bleed now.
Subway. I know it says eat fresh. I can't. There's always you always know when there's a Subway within a mile because it's got a certain smell about it. It's bloody horrible.
And Greg's.
And you get Greg. Oh God, yeah, Greg's. Yeah, that's blue and yellow, isn't it? That's Freemason owned.
Well, it's like, I mean, I saw a small bit of film from 1970s when they started. Completely different. It really was. They had real sort of food in those days. But I can get, because I get my car insurance through this Confused thing, I can get a free drink from Greg's a month, and I never used it because I think, well, I mean, what sort of shit would you have in their tea? I just don't know. I'm not chancing it. And really, it's free. So I could go in there and get a freebie, but I just think, well, I prefer to drink out my own vacuum glass. Thank you very much. But Pink Planet said, do you remember Frank Spencer on roller skates on a Route Master, Everton Green? I watched it the other day. No, Eric, they are fries. Fine once in a while. No, not once in a while because they're chemicals.
Yeah, and they got something like 42 ingredients in them
Something
to
like
make
that.
potato chips,
Yeah, I don't think it's
fries, or
I
whatever.
don't think it is
Yeah,
potato. And all the preservatives and that.
no.
I have respect for my stomach. I don't think I could handle that. Ugh. Ugh.
Well, isn't it in America where the farmers who are paid to make or what they grow the potatoes, isn't it a case that they when they spray these potatoes with so many chemicals that the farmer can't go out into that field for it's like 6
I did hear
weeks,
something like that.
and then when they harvest them, they put them into a barn and they leave them in there for about a year to let all the toxins
Bloody
disappear
hell.
off, and then people want to eat this crap. You
Yeah.
think, why?
Well,
And people still line up. I always remember when we had the lockdowns and they were closing the McDonald's drive-through up here. They were they were queuing for miles. You think, are you really that desperate to poison yourself?
oh yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what gets me is that Kentucky Fried Chick. It's not chicken. Kentucky Fried Chick. When you see what's pumped into these chickens, there's growth hormones, and that's why men are growing breasts because they're eating growth hormones. And have you noticed blokes with man boobs eat a lot of chicken? Why? Because they're eating loads of growth hormones, and it's doing something.
I can't say I've investigated that. I must be
Yeah.
honest, but I'll take your word
Well,
for it.
my neighbour eats nothing but bleeding chicken. I mean, Christ Almighty, he should wear a bra. I think he walks around, with his shorts on in the summer, and he should definitely have a bra.
Well, didn't KFC? Didn't they have to change their name to KFC rather than because it used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken, but apparently they've had to change their name
Really?
because the C bit wasn't actually accurate.
Well. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, it's just like
So I'm sure it used to be.
that's a good point. It used to be Kentucky.
Sorry,
It
Chris.
used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken, didn't it? It's
Yeah,
KFC. That's very interesting. But no, I actually even keep out of cafes and restaurants that've got microwaves in. I won't go near them. I don't want a load of muck. The other place
Yeah.
I'll keep clear of is what's that bleeding pub chain? I can't think of their name. Starting with W. Yeah, I
Wetherspoons.
wouldn't touch their stuff. And Pink Planet says, do I only eat orgasm meat, Eric? Sorry, organic meat. When I can, I try to, yes, but it's not always possible.
Orgasmic
I
meat.
said, orgasm meat, oh, but no, the thing is that I try and eat organic chickens if I can. I wouldn't eat an ordinary chicken, because I don't really want man boobs and things happening to my manhood. Thank you very much. So, yes, but I try, and I'm hoping to get some organic meat from a butcher. So there we go. So there we go.
Have you got a local butcher to you now
No,
then?
mail order. I'm contacting the.
Do you have a market anywhere nearby you?
Yeah, there's no butchers in that either.
Isn't there?
Nah.
Oh,
There used to be a bloke with a van, but he's gone. I don't have it any longer. But the trouble is with the van, you don't quite know the origin of the meat. It might be donkey meat from from France or something. But
he might have run over it.
yeah, roadkill or something. But no, there's a place. Where is it now? Bridget's Butchery in Tewing, which is near Stevenage, and they can't mark it as organic, but it is organic. So that's where I try and buy meat at the moment. But it's a fair distance from where I live. But no, I think that.
Doesn't it taste fantastic
Oh,
though?
it does. The taste is different.
I had my neighbour came and spoke to me yesterday because he's sort of changing his diet and what he's eating. Again, I've been trying to point him in the right direction. He's 81.
Yeah.
and he walks bloody miles. I tell you what, this guy, he's fitter than I am. He'll walk from like where I am now.
Yeah.
He'll go to a laundrette 6 miles away. And he won't use a bus. He'll actually walk it. Then you think, fucking hell, he's
Oh, yeah, my neighbour's like
fit
that.
as a fiddle. This guy.
My neighbour's,
And
yeah. And has he had the old arm spear?
he had 2, but I was trying to warn him off that, and yeah, he didn't have a third one because he had a bad reaction to one of them. Yeah, unfortunately, can't save everybody, but he's still fit as a fiddle. So hopefully,
Yeah.
he's better head in the right direction with having the right stuff. But, yeah.
Well, my neighbour, because people say on a keto diet, there is a vegetarian keto diet. Seriously, yeah, and as long as it's the main aim is protein and cut out the carbs. That is just it. You just cut the carbs out. And now Hereditous Getfucked says, but you give it all you got, weighing in at 19 stone. Do you? I'm 9 stone. And people say, what? Yeah, 9 stone. Pretty low.
I don't know what weight I am these days. I must be honest. But last time I got on the weight, it said on the weighing scales, it said 1 at a time, please.
But the thing I was going to say tonight, which Nathan Allenby, who is lost somewhere, Cooey, do you reckon we could tape him? Do you reckon we could sort of tempt him on with some cucumber sandwiches or something? Cooey, come on, boy, come on. But does anybody know what's happened to Telegram? Because what has happened is, once upon a time, if you looked on Telegram on your phone, it'd fill, like WhatsApp does, fill your phone up with crap. Now, I daren't look at WhatsApp, even though I don't use it that much, on my phone, because it just gets filled up with shit. And then you have to spend the next sort of half an hour taking a load of crap off it. Well, Telegram has noticed that problem, so they've solved it. And everything you look at and everything you write is uploaded to their server. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
So they can keep hold of it for.
Yes.
So they can keep hold of it and track it for. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I was watching something today. Do you know Carl Vernon, who's part of the Our movement, as it were?
Yeah, Carl Vernon. Yeah,
he was on about that Volvo have now tried to introduce some sort of app that is linked to your insurance, and it's based on your driving.
Couldn't.
So how fast you accelerated, how much you braked, and all this sort of stuff, which will ultimately end up with where they'll say, actually, no, you can't drive, and you can't.
Yeah.
We'll your app has told us you've driven too fast here, and you've braked a bit too hard there, so you can't drive for a week.
Yeah. Well,
you can see
I
where
can
this is all
see where
heading,
it's
can't you?
going. And what shocked me was about 10 or 15 years ago, a teenage chap borrowed his parents' Land Rover, or Range Rover as they're called now, and just drove down the road. He didn't worry about insurance or anything like that. It was in a sort of rural area. He took a chance, went down the road to get something, came back. The next thing is the police standing at the door. And apparently what happens with these particular range of cars, they've got engine management system. So they know when you're on the road. And if anything goes wrong, which sounds pretty good on paper, the company can sort of see where you are. And they knew that teenager was in the car.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I heard. But what is coming? What are not?
Wasn't
Yeah, sorry, he's going to say.
Wasn't there something about somebody in an electric car who'd done something they shouldn't have done, and the car literally drove him to the police station?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'm sure I read that somewhere, or heard that somewhere.
Well, there's one where made me laugh when he kept going round and round and roundabout. That was was it a driverless car? Where they're testing out, and they couldn't get it to stop going round and round and round. This poor sod's getting a bit giddy sitting in their car going round and roundabout, But now the thing is that old Pink Planet has said, DJ, once in a while is fine. I wouldn't stress myself worrying about a McDonald's once in a while. I would. I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I would.
To me, it's rat poison.
I would definitely give. If that's your only option, I'd be thinking what other options are available. before going there.
Now, Pink Planet has come up with a good one here. Okay, so cows have hormones, antibiotic injections, etc. If you eat liver, that's no good, as liver holds all toxins from body meat, has stress, acid from animal slaughtered, too, and less quick death. Yes, but a cow is far bigger than a chicken. So the ratio is different from a moo cow to a cluck cluck chicken. And then I've got these what they call Frankenstein chickens, which I think are terrible. That can't even stand up. They've been bred
Oh, the broilers.
broilers. Yeah, horrendous. It really is. But where I go to buy my eggs, you get warm eggs. They could just come out. The chickens just laid them. I got a bloody enormous one the other day. I mean, poor old chicken must have squeezed like anything to get that but sod out. And it was the size of a goose egg. I said, "You sure it's a chicken?"
Right.
And she, "Yeah." Huh? I said, "Poor sod. As she squeezed that one out, I was like, but no, the thing is that it's in moderation. But the thing is, with these fast food places, it is literally chemicals, and it's just,
and it's addictive as
Mm.
well, because it's been well known that things like the milkshakes that McDonald's used that do
Mhm.
that they pump them with air, so you still feel empty, so you want some more. A bit like Pringles, no
Yeah.
Pringles, the tubs of
Oh, that's shitty. Yeah.
they've got they're made of something that dissolves before it gets to your stomach, which is why people keep eating and eating and eating them and still feeling hungry, because it doesn't actually
Mm.
turn into food, because it ain't food, is it? And the same with things like Oreos as well. The Oreos are just I'm sure the cream in them is basically just glorified wallpaper paste.
Oh
And
yeah.
if nature's anything to go by, as an example, one of my friends at work, he brings in Oreos, and I give him some chocolate, and he gives me an Oreo, which is a bit unfair. But the last couple I've brought home and sort of disposed of, and I chucked one out on the grass in front of the place where I live.
Mhm.
7 days it was there, not a single bird had pecked at it.
It wouldn't surprise. That doesn't
So
surprise me.
that tells you what's in them.
Well, it does. But the thing is that they're going to put is it fulvic acid or something like that in the wheat, aren't they, for bread? In bread, uh,
Oh,
which
right,
is
okay.
artificial, and that's going to put this out. But it doesn't really bother me because I don't eat bread. But I found an alternative. I make bread out of lentils, and very nice it is too. But not for the people that stand around me.
I've said that lentils are on my avoid list.
Really?
Lentils and oats are two things. Yeah. When I was vegan,
Yeah.
often would have lentils in soups and stuff like that, and I'd feel like crap after. And I mean, literally minutes after eating, I'd be feeling like
Really?
death warmed up, I suppose.
Your body doesn't
Yeah.
react to it. Oats, I can understand it because there's a doctor on, what's his name now? A lot of the leading doctors who do the keto thing say, and there's a chap called Eddie something or other, and
Oh yeah. I know you're on, mate. Yeah.
and he says
Yeah.
don't touch
I know you're on
oats.
about.
Oats are for horses, not for humans. But I kind of like
Yeah.
oats
Yeah.
actually, but they do turn to sugar. And this is the thing, stopping stuff. It's like bananas. What I do, I buy bananas, chop them up very, very small, put them in the freezer, and just have a couple of lumps. That's it. So I'm not overdoing it with the sugar. So that's a little thing. And
Because pasta's another one. Pasta's another that turns to fat as well. That's apparently pasta's easy to burn off, but if you don't burn it off, it turns to fat. And again, I think pasta's completely useless, to be honest.
oh, pasta, that's wallpaper paste, isn't it? Basically, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And really, I found that since I've given up wheat-based products and sugar, I feel a hell of a lot better. I lost 1.5 stone in 2 weeks. That's how quick it goes. But I have an enormous breakfast. It's like Desperate Dan's cow pie. It's like Vesuvius. But then I have one meal a day, and that's it. Or I might have a smaller meal in the morning, a little snack about lunchtime, about 12, 1 o'clock, and that's it. Because we're not designed to keep snacking. We're designed to
No.
go long distances without food, a long time without food.
I've got to say, I do struggle with the sugary bits. I do. Well, I eat fairly healthy.
Mm.
I mean, what I've had today has been fairly decent, I guess. But the cafe at work, they sell homemade cakes, and it's very hard to go down there and not come back with a homemade cake.
I know what you mean.
Although sometimes I bring it home here and put some. There's a place in Shrewsbury that does all the cheeses.
Mm.
Do pots of Jersey single cream. Oh, I'll tell you what, man, that's good
Ooh,
stuff. Tell you,
or the Murray.
it's a struggle to eat the cake, but I tell you what, I force it down.
Well, I know what you mean. You get me because I like bread pudding. But I tell you what I did make. I made my own ice cream, which you can do, but I made a mistake with it. You see, I didn't. And Aunt Sally has advised me on this. I bought some whipping cream. Um, uh, 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 oh crumbs! You chop up a banana, and then you've got to whip the cream, which I didn't do, and you've got to make it all like stiff and that, and then you put an avocado.
It sounds like some Elton John.
Oh yes, it's a stiff one, and then you mix it all up and shove it in the freezer. And apparently it's supposed to be scoopable. No, mine's not scoopable. It's rock hard because I forgot to whip the cream. Silly yourself. But next time I'm going to whip the cream. It's very nice though.
So when you did the scoop, you just got the entire lot out in one block.
Yeah, it's just there it is. So I had to bash it and knock it and kick it. But now Pink Planet has said organic oats are fine. A banana is fine, not quite. Pasta is shit. Yes, banana is full of sugar. So that's why I chop it up into small pieces.
I think with bananas, it depends on the colour as
Mm.
well, because
Green.
I know when they're green, they're quite bitter. And I remember seeing a poster about that. It showed sort of the when to eat a banana and when not. So when it's green,
Mm.
sort of to halfway to brown, so the middle bit, so green to middle yellow is fine. But once you get into the browny sort of area, that's where it becomes liquid. So it's almost an instant hit rather than
Mm.
a gradual
Well, that's right. That's right.
what's the word I'm looking for, to get into the
Well, it's
system,
no.
gradual digestive system.
What is it? It's insulin. I mean, I'm not diabetic, but you've got to watch insulin because your insulin goes through the roof, and you keep that at a level.
Yeah.
And insulin builds up because of carbohydrates. But if you look at Professor Bart, who's a New Zealander, he reckons he doesn't eat fruit at all, and he keeps off of vegetables as well. And he said that humans are not designed to eat fruit or vegetables. We're just designed to eat meat. Now, whether you believe that or not,
Yeah.
that's entirely up to, I used to be a vegetarian. I was a vegan at one time, but I was always bleeding hungry. But I think it's what suits you. But if you've got a sweet tooth, my advice is to nip into Tesco's. It's 10 quid, and you can buy a big bag of xylitol, XY something or other. It starts with an X. And xylitol is good for your teeth. It's sweet and it's very low carbohydrate. And if you sprinkle that on peanut butter, it's delicious. So that's the way of getting over your sweet tooth. And the other one is
So I go through periods where I can go through like for 2 or 3 weeks where I don't have anything. I don't really fancy cakes
Mm.
and stuff like that. But then I'll have something and think, oh, I'll just have that one.
Mm.
And then I'll think the same the next day and the next day and the next day. And before I know it, I've had a week's worth of cakes.
I know what you mean.
But again, they're always with cream or something like that. So and I suppose sometimes
The fat is
it's
good.
nice to have that little treat.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
even though you know it's bad for you.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes nibble a bit of bread pudding, but now Pink Planet says it's natural sugar, Eric. Yes, and this doesn't make any difference. It still upsets your insulin levels. Doesn't matter if it's natural, whether it's cane sugar or what sugar it is. But when you say xylitol, yes, it comes from pine trees, so it doesn't rot your teeth, and it doesn't react the same as other sugars do. So it's very, very different to the other sugars. And it's quite good for you as well. But if you have too much, it acts as a diuretic. That's the only problem. So, but it is.
Oh, right, okay.
But
So I like honey as well. So I think if I do myself a lemon drink of a night time, I'll put lemon and squeeze a lemon in, put some hemp in, so a few of the bits, not nettles though, because nettles are a stimulant at
Diuretic,
night
yeah.
time. And then sometimes I put a little spoonful of honey in, and that again, I love honey. I could eat that off the spoon quite
Mm.
happily.
But
Yeah,
again,
good
if
stuff.
you look at, again, my attitude is you look at both sides and you do what's good for you. That's really because you're your own
Yes.
doctor. For example, I still eat oats. They say don't. I like oats, but only a small quantity of them. With bananas, I like bananas. So what I do, as I say, I chop them up, put them in the freezer, and just eat, say, a couple of little lumps of, like little sweeties they are, and that keeps the insulin levels low. Again, I'm not a diabetic. I hasten to add, but you've got to watch your diet, your insulin levels. But with, as I say, there's all different ketos and things. Now, Pink Planet says peanut butter, blimey O'Reilly, they have fungus on them. Yeah, it's lovely, that fungus. Yum, yum. A lot of the peanut family died of lung cancer. Did they really? Oh dear, that's a shame. But it's same with nuts, isn't it? If you have Brazil nuts, they have like a fungus on them. So you've got to be careful with them as well. So, you know.
Well, I was intrigued by that because bought a bag of Brazil nuts from Grape Tree, Grape Tree, Grape Tree in our town here.
Actually, yeah.
And then you look on the back of it, it says product of Bolivia. You think, well, they're not Brazil nuts, and are they?
Oh,
Aren't they Bolivia nuts?
surprise! Well, that's right. Well, I actually got, I kid you not, some mackerel from a well-known supermarket, which will remain nameless, but it's named after a country, and beginning with I, and or Ireland rather, and it said, right, okay, sustainably caught in Norwegian and Scottish waters, packed in China. Work that one out. Seriously, in fact, I should have kept it. It's in the bin now and shown it on the screen for people to believe it. So it's caught in Norway, it's sent all the bleeding way around to China to be packed and then sent all the way back again. So that's responsibly sourced, isn't it?
And we're told we're supposed to be looking after the climate. I mean, no, that's bollocks, but so they send it by ship from Norway to China,
Yeah.
and then from China by ship all the way across. So basically, that fish has done an entire not around the globe. They're basically gone all around the world to get back to. And how did they manage to do all of that and still sell the tins of mackerel for £1?
I agree with you. I mean, this was frozen in a frozen aisle, and this was quite cheap as well. I mean, it's very, very good for your mackerel. But I often wondered that, and pilchards as well. But I know that Lidl's were selling sardines, not in the tin but frozen, and now you can't find them anywhere. I don't know why. They just can't get hold of them. So I've been into 2 Lidl's and they just haven't got the
Wow.
sardines. Now Blu-ray says,
Sounds fishy to me.
oh, yeah, something stinks there, doesn't it?
I think they've done you up like a kipper, to be honest with you. Sorry.
You're really hooked on this. Blu-ray.
I said that on poor points anyway.
Oh dear, oh Lord! You're bloody hell. You've been on the magic mushrooms tonight. But Blu-rays.
It's
What's he say?
well, I live on the border of Wales, so maybe that's the reason.
Oh, you poor sod.
I was far enough away.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, Blu-ray says love fruit and green juices, smoothies. Please look up Dr. or Professor Bart. Most of these dietary people, and there was that bloke called Eddie Ebu, I think his name is. He lives in Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah.
And what he says about fruit. Now, fruit isn't proper fruit today because there's no real natural fruit left unless you go for berries. And that's why if I eat any fruit, I will eat berries. And of course, a banana that's chopped up, so I'll have little pieces of it. But what's happened is, up until about 200 or 300 years ago, you could not pick an apple off a tree and eat it. It was too sour. And in Henry VIII's time, you had to cook the apples. You couldn't eat them raw. It's just inedible. And it's through selective breeding they've made apples that you can eat them. Now, bananas, if you pick them in the wild, they'll have a huge pips in them. So you only eat a little bit of the fleshy part. Uh, Oranges and things like that, you didn't eat much. And of course, you had the fruit and fiber, but it wasn't much. But what they've done now, they've bred the fruit to such a point where oranges fail to have vitamin C in it, and you're getting an absolute blast of sugar that your body cannot handle. Whereas a couple of 100 years ago, you'd have had a little bit of sugar, which would have been fine, because the fruit would have had giant pips in it and things like that, where they bred the pips out. Look at seedless grapes; that's not natural to have seedless grapes.
Yeah.
And that
They're hard to get hold of now, seedless grapes.
really,
I mean,
seeded grapes.
I mean.
It's impossible. It's near impossible to get them. But what's got me is that this is why diabetes has gone through the roof, because people are having smoothies and thinking, oh, it's good for me. I'd never touch orange juice. It's a killer. Apple juice, absolute killer. And I'm serious. Again, look up Professor Bart. He will, and there's loads of other ones that you look at, and they will tell you this. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. Don't believe me. Please do your own research. There it is.
Well, it makes me. I do wonder then whether, because remember years. I mean, I don't know if you can still get cooking apples. You know, the big,
Oh
big
yeah,
green
yeah, oh yeah.
apples that
Still get
used
them.
to.
Yeah.
Then I wonder if those are actually the original apple, because you can't. If you pick one of them and eat it, it's really sour, really. But if you cook it, the sourness goes and it makes for a nice pie
That's
or
right.
crumble or
No, it
whatever.
isn't. They were small.
But
They're like little russet apples.
but our local, I love russet apples. The fruit and veg stall I use in Shrewsbury when I go there, they do their own apple
Mm.
juice, but there's different brands and not different brands, different like sweetnesses. From the different apple types. And I'll tell you what, this guy, these people, this family run place, it should be better, more promoted, because
Mm.
I think it's Corbett's. Corbett's. I've pointed them towards the food finder, so I put them on there. I sent
Oh
that
yeah.
to
Oh,
the Bower
brilliant.
Hat farmer, and yeah, I mean some of the stuff that it's an absolutely amazing place. They do so many different types and like fruit and veg, as obviously. But they also do things like sourdough breads as well,
Mm.
seeded sourdough bread. That's amazing. Just a bit of fresh butter on it. It's just
This is
amazing.
the thing. I think we, as my dad used to say, you eat with your eyes. And if you're hungry, if you're on a diet, then you're doing it wrong. Because the thing with the keto diet is that you don't feel hungry. But you've got to train your stomach beforehand. You don't go straight into it. You've got to do it very, very gradually. And now, Pink Planet, why not come on? Why not come on and speak? Because I can always send you a studio link. Uh, now, Pink Planet says, think tree nuts better than ground nuts, which peanuts are. Yeah, I don't think peanuts are actually nuts. They're legends, aren't they? Legends or something. They call them nuts.
Or
Legumes and
legumes.
them and all. Yeah. Now, Blu-ray says, I am super healthy, Eric. Laugh out loud. Good for you, mate. But again, please look that up. I'll be most, it's not me. And these people, he's a professor and things like that, and see what they got to say. I've cut down on the amount of fruit I eat since watching that, but I do eat blueberries and blackberries, and they're very good for you because they're natural. Well, blueberries are not.
But then aren't blueberries supposed to be one of the most sprayed fruits of them all?
Supposed to be, but
That's the only thing.
what I do, I soak them in bicarbonate soda and water overnight. That doesn't get rid of all the spray, but most of it. That's
Limit it down.
yeah, that's the thing. And I freeze them, and then I put them in my oats thingamabob overnight, which is very, very nice, But now,
So, what are your thoughts on drinking tea and coffee? Because I have a tea at
Hmm.
work most days, as in normal tea from,
Yeah,
and I bought some tea bags from the farm shop the other day. And if I ever do get down to your part of the
Yeah.
world, I will bring you a piece of bread pudding from our farm shop
Oh,
because
yes,
I
please.
tell you what,
Oh,
it's
thank you.
I have bought a piece before now, and I've had to sort of plan it into my day as to when I can eat it.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like a massive door wedge. It's huge.
Well,
I could throw it if I froze it and threw it at someone. I reckon I could kill somebody with it.
I know what you mean, but there's something about bread pudding. I mean, when it was my birthday, and my mum used to cook bread pudding for me because I like bread pudding. But I mean, occasionally, just it's all right occasionally, things like that. Um, but I think that we got to find, something that suits yourself. But counting calories, they say, doesn't work. It's protein, so they say. Again, I'm not a dietitian, but I've found that protein goes into muscle, goes into things like that. As you can see, you too can have a body like this. Bloody hell! But no, it's uh, now what's he say? Exo says that makes 0 sense. Regards, blueberries, anorak. Well, I got some blackberries the other day, free. I picked them. Now, so Exo says because so long as you add a bit of netting over them to confuse the greedy birds, they actually survive fine. Well, you can grow blueberries in this country. Yeah, I think you can actually.
I didn't mean the ones that are like somebody's growing in their garden. I
No.
meant the supermarket bought ones there.
Yeah.
They're one of the most heavily sprayed fruits of them all.
You could actually, I mean, I've got a mini apple tree and they're delicious, the apples off of that one. And I also have plums and apricots, very nice. But the thing is that it tastes very, very different and they're very, very small. So I don't have much of them. But the idea was it 5 a day and things like that. Again, I'm only repeating what I've seen and what I've read. I could be totally and utterly wrong. The big no they say is rice and potatoes and things like that. You put weight on with that because the the body turns it to sugar. But look at the Japanese; they eat nothing but bleeding rice, and look, they're quite slim, aren't they? The Chinese as well.
Well, apart from sumo wrestlers.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
I never understood that. That's a real. Is it classed as a sport?
I don't know.
Sumo wrestling is just weird, isn't it?
I think it's a bit kinky, isn't it?
It's very odd.
They wear a little loincloth.
Well, I'm not here to judge you, Chris.
Go Bennett. But no, the Japanese are very strange, aren't they? They are a bit odd. I mean, their food looks like something you just dished out the washing. You know when you get washing in a bowl that you're soaking, it looks like that, doesn't it? Their food doesn't look particularly appetizing.
When you've washed like over Christmas time when you've washed all the pans
Yeah.
and the dishes and stuff and you pour the stuff out the water out of the bowl and the stuff gets left in the plug hole looks like that.
Yeah, it's also
Probably the same nutrition level and all.
Yeah, it's weird, but they eat nothing but fish, and they have you can have too much iodine apparently, and they go down. There's a special certain disease that they go down with in Japan, where they eat a particular lot of fish. But Japanese eat fish that are poisonous, and they have special chefs that are able to gut these fish, and you can eat the non-poisonous bits. Well, supposing the chef was pissed one night or something. I mean, your life depends on that chef. No, I don't think so.
Well, more importantly, if they brought the meal out to you and you weren't particularly happy with it, would you actually complain?
Precisely.
You
I
sure,
go,
you
I
sure
know.
not enjoy that fish? No, I really enjoyed it. It's lovely. I don't want to send it back. I can see it's been on the floor, but no, I don't want to send it back. It's fine.
Well, the Japanese are bleeding weird. They really are. I mean, they got some very good ideas, but they're not very good at designing. But now, hang on, fugu. That's it. Or just get fucked. Fugu. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So
I just need to go and put my light on, Chris, if that's okay.
That's
Just
all
bear with me a
right. That's right.
second.
No, don't worry. No, but when you think of
It looks like I'm holding a seance in here.
some of the
Okay.
dishes that you can get from around the world, personally, apparently Chinese food that we get in this country, in Britain, isn't Chinese food. It's done for the Western diet. Because I know somebody that went to China and the food's completely different there. It's better, in fact.
I'm back.
Hello, and things like I'd like to go to China and eat their food. I would think their food is very, very, very different. But although I think I'd turn my nose up at fire dough on toast, what do you like, Pekingese?
I wouldn't want to pick. I'm not sure I'd want to choose. Like a sort of a cage full of Labradors and
Yeah,
sort of I don't particularly like him. I'll have him if that's all
yeah.
right. Yeah, can you do with a bit of black bean sauce and yeah? I'm not sure I'd want to meet it first.
Well, apparently in Nigeria they eat dogs as well. I didn't realise that. It's not only China; it's other countries.
So Batsy Dog's Home to them is a takeaway.
Yeah,
Then.
I just cooked, but no, as I say, Chinese food isn't quite Chinese. It's done to Western taste. Italian. This is what I can't understand about Italian food. It's a lot of pasta, which is bad for you, but they live to a ripe old age.
Yeah.
So it's certain things that don't quite work out, and they eat a lot of vegetables, and they live to a ripe old age.
But they have olive oil as well, don't they?
Yeah, that might be it.
Well, it didn't do Popeye much good, did it?
Mind you, Popeye was actually crap. Oh yes, I like that one. Popeye was actually Polish. Seriously, he modelled on a Polish.
Was
Yeah,
he?
yeah. They copied him, Popeye the Sailor Man, and he used to have a pipe. There's a picture of him. If you look him up, the original Popeye is Polish. So I think he was in the Navy. But I think he immigrated to America and was in the American Navy. But there's a lot of things. What gets me now is the amount of restaurants and cafes and takeaways that are empty. Have you noticed that? Is it the same around Telford area and that sort of area now?
Yeah. But our town at the moment has got. We counted these the one day. Is it about 40, between 20 and 40 cafes? So I've come to the conclusion that a granny could go into town every day for a month and never actually set foot in the same one twice.
It's like that round where
We've got
I
that
am.
many bloody cafes in
Yeah.
it. And we got Wellington, which is a beautiful market town. Well, I'd say beautiful. It used to be. It's a shithole now.
Yeah.
But it should be seeing the investment put into there because that's your town. And I know Telford's trying to get to city status, even though Telford as a place is just a shopping centre,
Is-
and it should be Wellington or Shrewsbury should be the city, not Wellington or not Telford anyway. But Wellington is all charity shops and these CEX places and the cash converters places.
Yeah.
It's a complete shadow of what it used to be. And I really don't like where our towns are heading. And I've said before, I've mentioned Wolverhampton a number of times and how much of a ghost town it is now. And it never used to be.
Yeah.
All of our towns used to be thriving with people.
Same here. It's ghost towns.
It's yeah.
And
They put these crappy retail parks up away from
that's it.
out of town, so people go there instead of serving the towns.
Yeah.
And that's why we've lost all our butchers and bakeries, and then when they do get a bakery in there, it's a bloody Greggs or it's every town now looks, with the exception of Shrewsbury, every town looks pretty much a carbon copy of the next town.
Well,
No,
I know what you
all the
mean.
same. Turkish barbers.
Napoleon said we're a nation of shopkeepers, and I think he was right, because I remember you go down the road and you get little family businesses, greengrocers, and I'm old enough to remember. I don't know whether you remember this. When your mum went to the greengrocers, she had her own bags and she'd open it up, and the bloke would tip some spuds in, and she used to moan when she got home that she got a load of bloody dirt on the spuds, but that's how fresh they were.
Yeah.
But they weren't in plastic bags and plastic packaging. It was all there. It was all in sort of like boxes, open boxes. And
well, I remember Dad used to about once every 2 or 3 months they'd order a sack of taters, and they'd keep them in the downstairs toilet because I don't mean literally in the loo. Obviously, they keep the bag,
I know what
the
you mean.
sack of
Yeah,
potatoes in the toilet downstairs, so it kept it cool. And they'd last them for months and months and
that's
months.
it.
And
Yeah,
no, people don't do that anymore. Everything's been. I know people like convenience, but I think the convenience factor is what's killing our towns, amongst many other
I
things.
agree. I mean, I used to in Waltham Abbey. There was a greengrocers there that sold Kent cob nuts and all things
Who?
Kent cob nuts and cucumbers, and that are grown locally from local nurseries. And it was beautiful. The food was, the salad stuff was fresh, and I've seen direct. It, yeah, they had signs up, grown locally and things. They've gone, and all it is now, you could go there any day of the week, and Waltham Abbey is like a wet Sunday afternoon. There's nobody around, and it's sad because the
It
few
is.
businesses that are still there are holding on by their fingernails. And the only thing that attracts people, there's no banks there at all. There's a post office and a co-op. And that's really the main magnet that draws people is the co-op, which is expensive because they've done exactly the same
Yeah.
as what they've done near you. They've got a Tesco's and Lidl's one end, which offers free parking, one end of the high street, and they've got an out-of-town shopping centre the other end. And then the local council put parking charges on what was once free car parking. So what's happened? People think, well, sod that. I'm not paying a part. I'm going up to Tesco's. And that's what they do in
Yeah.
Lidl's. Um,
Well, Wolverhampton, I've probably mentioned before, and the same with Birmingham city centre. They've as much as people probably hate me going on about buses, but buses are a part of town life,
mm,
whether you like them or not, whether if you hate them, that's fine. But they are part of the town's
yeah.
vibrance. They bring the people to the
Public
shops
transport. Yeah.
basically, and as soon as they evict them out of town, the towns die.
Mm,
And okay, yeah, a lot of people use cars, but a lot of people still use buses to get from A to
that's
B.
right.
And like in Birmingham, I've said before that Corporation Street down the main strip in Birmingham, from Old Square past New Street Station out the other end, pretty much every bus used to go down there. Either used to serve all the stops down there, or they'd do Upper Bull Street or Lower Bull Street. They put the tram in there and evicted all the buses out. And now where the tram goes, it's dead.
Yeah.
But at one time of day, it used to be heaving with people.
That's it.
And I always remember there's a place up in Upper Bull Street called Central News. He used to sell, he was basically a news agent, but he sold tobacco
Mm,
and chocolate and all sorts. And when the buses were there, this place was always heaving with people. He'd have customers in and out all the time. Kick the buses out, and he's closed.
yeah.
He's closed down.
Well, apparently, I mean, I was going to ask you about this. Andy Burnham, I believe he made a balls up of the transport system in Manchester. Am I right there? He's cooked out.
Yeah, he's basically again similar sort of thing. They're investing in the tram, and their tram network is pretty good. To be fair,
Mm,
the Metrolink is pretty good, but it suffers the same problem as the railways do. So when you get a breakdown, they just stop the trams running, and that's to me again.
yeah.
It's There's a lot of things he's done. He's introduced a lot of competition in with the bus operators and kicked out some of the big operators like
Yeah.
Stagecoach and one of the bigger operators around there. Not anymore. They're not. Most of them have been kicked out, and because they're he was a mayor, and the same with
Mhm.
Birmingham, the same with London. They're investing big in electric vehicles, electric buses, which again aren't the answer. I I, I just don't think these mayors have a clue. I think they're basically using their power to force a transport that isn't needed onto the operators.
Yeah.
So they're being told you've got to have these electric buses whether you want them or not.
Yeah.
But then the operators then have to invest in the garages. They then don't have the space to do maintenance on the diesel ones that they've got left. Yeah,
Well,
it's like everywhere.
yeah.
They
And also, people are in an electric bus or in an electromagnetic smog. So that's going to be nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sitting there.
Well, they're dangerous. And I've said before that when if you're on a same with a car, if you're in a car with an engine, or if you've got a bus with an engine, you you can gauge by the sound of the engine and the gearbox what that bus is going to do. So if he's going to jam the
Mm.
brakes on, the engine will basically warn you. Whereas with an electric bus, it's silent,
Mm.
so you don't. So I always remember I was down in London. I was travelling up to Bexley Heath, and as the driver was going through Bexley Heath town centre, there was a set of traffic lights went to red, and he jammed the brakes on, and people fell over because they
Yeah.
couldn't, because there was nothing to warn them that he was going to jam the brakes on.
I know what you
Whereas with
mean.
a diesel powered vehicle, you'd listen, the engine would tell you what he's going to
Yeah.
do.
The fact of the matter is, I do still believe that electric powered vehicles are a white elephant. And I wouldn't be at all surprised in 10 years'
Yeah,
time we won't have them. They're crap. And lots of car manufacturers are
yeah.
realizing that, and lorry manufacturers.
Well, haven't Ford just done this? Haven't they said they're not making electric vehicles anymore? And
Mm.
I noticed Mercedes have bought out an electric articulated lorry, the tractor unit. And I was in West Brom
Mhm.
2 months ago, something like
Yeah.
that, a month ago, and this lorry, this tractor unit, basically came into the town to find somewhere to charge his lorry up.
Doesn't surprise me.
I can't see how that's beneficial in any way, shape, or
Well,
form.
my neighbours, I think it's a case of, copying the neighbour. One neighbour bought an electric car and had a plug fitted so he could plug the bleeding thing in on his drive. So the neighbour next door decided to do the same. And I think Octopus Energy, I've got a season ticket, because hardly a week goes past unless their van is parked across their drive, and there's an engineer there scratching his head, looking at the charging port or whatever they call it, and it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But I think that was it JCB, the people that make the tractors and things, they've gone over to a oh what's that fuel? That's hydrogen.
No, I was say
Yeah,
hydrogen. Yeah.
that's the way forward, I think, hydrogen. But it,
Well, the
I don't know what's happening. It's just the joy of driving has gone. I love driving. I used to, not any longer. It's sad.
yeah.
And
Well, I enjoy, and that's what I say with like my enjoyment of the trains or the
mm,
buses. To me, it's the sounds as much as
oh
the
yeah,
presence and so on and so forth. I mean, our modern trains are just crap. There's no sound off them. They're just characterless,
oh you're
plastic,
right.
horrible things.
You're right.
But the old order, like in my picture there, you know you're alive when you're behind one of them,
Oh
and
bloody
you
hell!
know it'll get you home and all.
Yes. Well, what's that?
Whereas the modern things just don't.
I think it's Fenchurch Street. It goes to Southend, doesn't it? That's supposed to be one of the worst lines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you done that one yet? Gone to Southend on it, or
I have.
is it as
At
bad?
Shoeburyness.
Is it as bad as they say, or?
No, well, it's got all modern stock on there, but I mean, I like the older trains. So the ones that are on there now replaced
Yeah.
classes 302, 310, and 312, and they were the old slam door stock, but they were comfortable. You sat on the seat. It was like being on a big sofa. You'd have to sort of plan
Mm,
to when you were going to get off, sort of to
I know what you
force
mean.
yourself back out of the seat. They were brilliant. They were brilliant. Yeah,
That's the thing.
I'd choose them over anything
I think the
these days.
seats were comfortable in the older trains. They're really springy, weren't they? Way nowadays, as hard as a bleeding rock.
Yeah,
But no,
and
I'm not
even
that keen on public
simple
transport
things
because I don't.
like the even things like the compressor.
Mm,
Like Waterloo was the last bastion of the class 455. Sorry, these are units. People won't know what they are,
mm,
but they can research them. And you get the compressor of the old tick 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 as they sat just waiting to depart, and that little bit of character is
mm.
just gone lost. It was amazing.
Things are
Fenchurch was
characterless.
great for that.
Oh yeah, blandness. That's where we go now. Just
Yeah,
bland nothingness. And I think that um, there is something mentally wrong with the people in charge. And going back to this hidden power of words, it would be interesting. I was going to do a poll on what people envisage freedom is. Now, to me, freedom is inner happiness, inner peace, and being able to travel and go wherever you want, whenever you want. And we should be in a situation now where you go to an airport and just say, "Oh, I want to go to Australia, please." And they say, "Oh, yeah, there's a plane leaving in half an hour." You just get on it and go. I
Yeah,
can't see any reason why not. And
that's how it should be.
all this paperwork and crap. I mean, I follow a chappie called is Kiwi something or other, and he's a New Zealander that his parents were English, and he's got an English passport. He's lived in this country for a long time. He's homeless, totally homeless. He hasn't got a roof over his head, and he earns his money from YouTube, and he makes really nice films. And he cycled through France, and then he went across from Spain to Morocco, and um, and these films are, they're not offensive, they're not rude, they're just not even touristy. They're just his daily, you see him being friendly to people. He saw this woman with two children, and she didn't have a husband. I don't know whether she'd lost her husband, but she's widowed, I think.
Yeah.
And this was in Morocco, and he raised money for her and then gave her the money.
Right.
He's a very kind bloke, even though he hasn't got two acres to spend on himself. And he's went to on Friday. He went to leave Morocco to go back to Spain, and the Moroccan authorities it flashed red, and they said, "No, you can't go. You're detained because someone's complained about your videos." Uh, yeah, and so our rug master's come along. He said, um, "The Kiwi guy you talk about can't leave Morocco anymore. Couple of days, and he will be in jail." That's right. Yeah, his visa runs out in a couple of days. But I don't believe that anybody has complained. I think they're doing it because he has quite a large following
Yeah.
as a warning for people making films.
Yeah. Keeps up the fear, doesn't it? Keeps people
Yes.
takes them down a couple of pegs, I suppose, to keep, like say, people in fear.
Well,
It's sad,
precisely.
isn't it? Because
Yeah.
obviously he's doing nice acts of kindness. I know I talk about acts of kindness. That's
Yeah.
another thing, I suppose. That's another part of freedom's a strange thing, isn't it? Because I suppose what we see as freedom, in my
Mm,
opinion, is like you say that where we are basically free to go where we want.
yeah.
But then does that apply with living as well? Because obviously, in that respect, that would mean that all these migrants that are coming across on the boats are doing just that.
Well, the
Should there,
thing
is
is
would there need to be some sort of agreement whereby you can travel where you want, but you must go back to the place of origin
yeah,
or
but it's
where
to do
you were
with
born?
money because what they've done, they've starved the third world. Whereas, I think it's Paul English once said, he said, a fraction of the money that's been stolen from us in the usury scam, if that was spent on the third world, you'd have the rubber boats going the opposite way. They'd want to go home because that would be the place to be. People would be where they want to be. And I think we can have a world that, I know it sounds a bit like Cloud Cuckoo Land, but I really do think we can have a world where people are where they want to be. So if you want to settle in Africa, you can settle in Africa. You've got to provide for yourself, of course. You can't go begging on the streets. But I mean, I was actually in the town a couple of days ago. There's this foreign woman, couldn't speak a word of English. She must have been in her 70s, 80s, maybe, with just a paper cup begging
Yeah,
and going,
yeah,
couldn't speak a word of English. Now, I asked the question, how did she get here? Who let her in? What's
yeah,
she doing here? And I was on my bike, and she starts leaning over. This is like a paved sort of pedestrian area where you can go on your bike. And she almost got in the way of me, going, "Oh yeah," I was shouting and hollering at me. God knows why. I don't know what she's saying. So I just steered around her. But she was sort of harassing people as walking past. So how do these people get here? And I've noticed that apparently they're professional beggars. They're actually paid to do that. And they have that over
But
in
then, do you
foreign
ever see
countries.
them again? Or is she
No,
there on a regular basis, or is it a one?
no, it's a
Because I
one-off.
noticed that when I was down in London, the chat I got on the Thameslink service at Finsbury Park, I was going through to London Bridge, I think it was, And as soon as the train doors shut, this chap walked down through the carriages, turned around and said, "I'm a veteran. I've spent all these years in Afghanistan, all this, that, and the other, and I'm now homeless." And you think, well, you can afford to travel on this train, so obviously you can't be that homeless. Otherwise, or alternatively, live on the train.
Well,
At least it's
how
warm.
do you know he is a veteran? Because my attitude is I do not give money to people that ask me. If
No,
someone's playing the accordion or someone's sitting down and they've just got a cup there, and I choose to go over to them like I do with a chap who looks like a genuine ex-serviceman, and I speak to him and talk to him and treat him as a human being, and I don't act in a, I try not to act, in a condescending way, because giving money is condescending to that person, and I wish him luck and everything. And the thing is, that's genuine. But people that come up to you, he's probably not an ex-serviceman. I doubt it.
no.
Probably a
Well,
water mitty.
that's just made me think about something there. Do you remember years ago you used to have if you travelled on the underground, you'd have buskers, wouldn't you? You'd have people playing music on
Yeah,
the. I can't remember the last time I went on the tube or travelled on any tube or travelled up to any underground station where there was a busker. Again, is that another thing that they've deliberately taken away? Because I
I
suspect
don't know.
the music as you're walking down, or
Mm,
I mean, given the fact that all the walkways are tunnels as well, so that echoes throughout the system,
yeah,
and that probably
but
makes people feel good. But by taking it away, that's something I've just thought about, that you don't see buskers on the underground anymore, anywhere.
we don't. Well, I remember at Warren Street Station, and this was in the 70s, there was a limbless buskers, and they had like a band. Very good they were. And they were First World War veterans. So in the 70s, they must have been well into their 80s. And there's one without an arm, none without a leg. I think there's a blind one there. And they just formed this band, and people give them money. And they used to perform at outside the station at Warren Street. And there's a regular spot. Yes, I'll give money. I didn't then, because I was sort of young, but um, I give money to anything like that because I choose to go over and give them the money. But I wouldn't give money to charity or anything like that. And Sixblade has said, "By the way, mate, do you want to come on? Uh, the studio link, Steve." He said, "Freedom is the infinite value of the human being, and means an individual has total ownership of their mind and body, with the absence of coercion." Yes, yes,
Oh, God,
I
well,
agree. I 100% agree there. And um, uh, now where are we? We've got another one down here, which is quite interesting. He goes on to say, as the world government means mind control, we can never be free with a government, ever. That's right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. You see, the thing is that why do we need to vote for a leader? And this is the point I got me when I went to a truth group. Most of the people are looking for a leader to tell them what to do. Why? Why do we need that? We've been conditioned to believe that.
yeah.
But most of the most best societies have not had a leader. And it's like, well, I was saying, I used to know a girl that was an anthropologist. And she said the tribes that had chiefs were warlike and aggressive. And the tribes that didn't have chiefs generally were passive, peaceful, placid, and happy, and
Well,
didn't
that's
have a
the thing.
hierarchy system.
It's drummed into us from a very early age, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go to, you're born, and by the age of about 4, you're in a nursery, so you've got a teacher who's
Mhm.
authority, and you've got that authority then right the way through to, I suppose, technically right through to the day you die, I suppose, because
That's
even in
right.
care homes and stuff like, you've got horrible nurses, and not all, some are all right, but
Yeah.
some, I'm sure they pick some of these nurses in in care homes on the fact that they are completely lacking any form of empathy. I'm
Oh,
sure
yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
sometimes they're even potentially asked, "Would you have you worked in a concentration camp?"
Hmm.
Yes, I have. Oh, welcome aboard then. That
Oh,
sort of thing.
yes.
It's
Yes. And
So,
what's the
so I guess we're
diet?
conditioned to have authority from day one, aren't we? Which
We are.
obviously we don't need.
Well, we don't. We don't. I mean, as we were saying earlier, I mean, let's put it this way: uh, if all the lights went out and we had to survive, the bloke that you go to would be Survival Steve because he'd know how to survive. So he would be a natural leader, but you would choose to go to him. He wouldn't be coming to your house and saying, "Oh, I'm the leader. Come here. You will follow me." No, he won't do that. And this is the thing: people that put themselves up to be leaders, where has it brought us? We've got councils that are as corrupt as you wish to think, and governments which are as corrupt as ever. So
And police as well. Police the same. Police are all corrupt, or the majority of them are.
yes, they are, and are arresting old age
So,
pensioners and things like that instead of helping them across the road. Uh, but Matilda says, my 6-year-old grandson, you're not old enough to have a grandson, are you? Says the best bit about school is home time. Agree with him. Yes, I agree there.
again, that's me. We shouldn't be doing. People, children shouldn't be going to school. They should. The only reason they should be going to school is if they're learning life skills, as in useful stuff, not the crap that they teach, like infant mortality and density of rocks and crap like that.
Yeah.
But they should be allowed to be children and learn by play and beating people, I suppose, like they do locally around here. But no,
Well,
they should be able to be themselves and learn. That's how they learn. They learn through play. We all
I,
learn through
I
play, don't we?
agree.
And
I agree. They make it fun. I mean, look at the way they teach dogs. They treat dogs. I saw this documentary once where I think it's some country where they taught dogs how to sniff when there's been an earthquake and to find out if there's people still alive. And the trainer said you've got to make it look as if it's fun. The dog is a fun time, and the dog's wagging its tail, sniffing out, trying to find someone that's alive. He said to us it's not fun,
yeah.
but you've got to make it fun to the dog. So he's finding people, but
So, but does that mean then if there's an earthquake in Nigeria, does that bloke, does the Nigerian that's trapped who's been sniffed out by a dog think that someone's handed him some food?
who knows? But a lot of blue races is absolutely. I agree. Governments are guilty of genocide. Yeah, they are totally.
But they never get pulled to the. But they never get.
Oh,
This is something I was watching with Mark Devlin. He was talking about that obviously the good and the evil, and that
hmm,
if you do like that chap you were just talking about from New Zealand, he's doing good
yeah,
things, and he's being potentially put in prison.
that's right.
But our government can murder millions of people, and the people who did it are still walking around free. It's
Hmm.
whatever realm we're on, it's completely the opposite of what it should be, isn't it?
Well,
Because
it is.
that chap should be free to go and do what he wants, and the likes of Matt Hancock and all these other muppets should be well hanging from a lamppost, I suppose, or in a prison cell for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But they're not, are they? It's completely arse about face.
Well, I had a situation once. I can't remember what it was, but many years ago, where I wrote something up, and the neighbourhood was up in arms about something. That was it. I think that was it. It was a proposed housing estate. So I wrote up some details about it and naively gave it to a local councillor. And the councillor, the bastard, took my name off the bottom and put his own name there. And when we went to the planning meeting, everybody was sitting there, spoke as if he had written it. How he had the nerve to do it,
Right, what a tosser.
I do not know. And I was hoping somebody was going to ask him a technical question, but no, they didn't. But it was on this sort of, and they had toilets there, councillors only. So if you don't for a piss, you had to go down a corridor for a piss, but you couldn't go in where it's councillors only. And it had a key and a lock. Why? Were they kinky or something? I mean, I mean, it's just snobbery beyond belief. But what uses are these councillors? None, as I can see. They're all seen.
But they think they're better than everybody else, don't
Yeah.
they? And I know. I mean, whenever you deal with anybody I know I sound like about the nursing staff. The councils are exactly the same. They employ the most narcissistic,
Yeah.
lacking empathy individuals they can find. That I don't. I reckon. If you worked for the council and you actually smiled, they'd sack you for that.
Oh, crumbs. Yeah. Miserable bastards. But the thing is that um, I think that the lower ranks don't seem to be so bad. It's when you get into the higher echelons, they seem to be bloody awful. But I think what it is, they know they can't be sacked. They can't be given the boot, can they?
Yeah.
And you're pretty safe. But I think that's really, I think we probably need some form of civil servants, people that can work things out. But I was thinking about roads. Now, roads where I live is full of bloody potholes. They're a terrible state. It's like the third world in some places. If we didn't have a government and we had sort of local administrators, you could choose to pay into a fund or something, and you might get a plate to put on your car to have the roads done. And I wouldn't mind betting that would be more efficient, where it'd be like a voluntary taxation to get the roads repaired. And it'd be in the repairer's interest to do a good job of it, because if you didn't, you'd have half the bloody public saying, I'm not giving it to them anymore. They can go and stick it up their backside. So they'd have to do a good job. Just a thought. I wonder what anybody else thinks of that.
Something I often wonder with that is, and again, along similar sort of lines, but why do we make roads out of tarmac? Because tarmac is probably the worst substance to use. It doesn't like heat and it doesn't like cold. But years ago they used to make them out of concrete, didn't they? Or
Yeah.
you'd have concrete roads.
Yeah.
If you go into mainland Europe like France and Germany, a lot of their roads within the city centre are all made of concrete,
And silky
so they
smooth.
last.
And they're silky smooth as well.
And you never get potholes
Yeah.
there.
Well, it's money, isn't it?
But we choose this tarmac crap, which I'm sure if you look back down the monetary system, I'm sure there'll be some politician at the other end of it somewhere. But it's just crap. I remember not far from where I am here, the one of the roundabouts just about a mile from here, and there was loads of little potholes that come in as you exit come off the roundabout onto the main road. So the council, in their wisdom, sent these mobile pothole fillers to fill it back in. So they basically just put this crap in, patted it down, drove off, and then the first wagon or first bus that came along tore it all back up again.
Yeah.
I think, well, that was a waste of
Well,
time.
it's all
Why don't you
bodged.
just dig it out and lay it properly in the first place?
Well, it's a bit like what I was saying about a contract bloke I used to work with, who used to tour around the world, working all overseas, and see the world that way, sort of free. And he said whenever he went to a third world country, he would never ever eat in the hotels. And hello, who's this? Add to Steve's stream. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
And
You all right?
I'm fine,
evening,
thank you.
Steve.
Nice to join us, and thanks for joining us. I was just saying, I work with a contract bloke. You've probably heard this before, Steve. Wherever he went in the world, he'd never eat in the tourist hotels. He always went to where the locals ate and ate street food, and he never went down with gut rot. Where the people and blokes used to laugh at him. I wouldn't go down there. But the amount of times people in the tourist hotels went down with gut rot, but he didn't. He was the only one in the office one day because they're all gone down with food poisoning. He didn't get it. Why? Because the street vendors had to be good, because if they weren't, people wouldn't visit them, wouldn't go to them. They didn't need any government rules and regulations. They had to be good. That's it. And what's your view on that, Steve? Did you do that when you're overseas, go and scoff in the local street food and all that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, didn't really have much option, but I mean, I've had my fair share of deli belly, I must admit, like serious cases of it.
Really? Well, from eating street food or?
I mean, when I say street food, some of the places I've been, they didn't really have like vendors as such or amenities, but there was obviously you could say shops or local facilities where food was available. And to be quite honest, I'm not knocking the third world here, but some of the hygiene standards are a little bit questionable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've had to set fire to like trousers before.
It's like the old bicarbonate soda trick. If you've got a cold coming on, you just put a very, very slight, very mean half a teaspoon of bicarbonate soda in a beaker of water and drink that down, and that will fight any cold germs or anything like that. That will fight, your cold. And a friend of mine phoned and said, "Is it right? It's a tablespoon." I said, "What?" He said, "It's a tablespoon, so I can't stop farting." I said, "Don't light a match, whatever you do." but what we were talking about earlier, Steve, I don't. Yeah, I think you saw that on the Telegram channel about objective. We have not got an objective, and the hidden power of words, and a good meme that we could come up with that's better. Well, I don't think you could make it better than the Kitchener poster. Your country needs you. Has anybody done a better meme than that? I mean, it is bloody brilliant, even though I disagree with it. I mean, you can't.
It's very good. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd imagine the social engineers of the day were working double time to get, the war propaganda put in place for that. I mean, it's very effective. It's still used today. I mean, I know for a fact I've actually used similar, like parodies of that very phrase for various things for my own purposes, my own channels, etc. So it works very effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about this last night on your show, which I was listening to.
Yeah.
I was actually in a tent down in Yorkshire, so I didn't really get much chance to do anything other than listen. But you're very right. What you're saying there is we don't have an aim yet. And I mean, for anyone who's on the Occult Academy channel, this is one thing I've probably mentioned more than enough, to be fair, although I have kind of put a reminder recently, inspired by what you were talking about yesterday. We have a battle plan. And again, my background is military. I was a military commander, and I've got an intimate understanding of how warfare works. And the reason I'm mentioning this is not to blow my own trumpet, because I'm not interested in that. It's because we've got to acknowledge that we are at war. And it is a war that, if we're not engaged in the understanding of how warfare operates, then we will just find ourselves as victims. To put it bluntly, we are victims now because we're not winning. As much as many people think, well, we're waking up and this, that, and the other. I mean, I'll certainly mention why that's not necessarily an important aspect of a decisive victory in war. The fact that some people are aware of what's going on. The mechanism of warfare doesn't just depend on people being aware of it. So, for example, if you were to talk about North Korea, I'm sure most of North Korea were well aware of what was going on at the time when their sort of totalitarian agenda was starting. Bearing in mind, North Korea had the equivalent of a Bill of Rights. They had a constitution. They had voting. Yet, did they vote to be tyrannized? Did they vote for their entire future to be completely destroyed? I'm pretty sure they didn't. What they were lacking was what's known as the master principle of war, which is the selection and maintenance of the aim. So what I would say, and in fact, I know you mentioned the word before, and you said, well, what is freedom? Well, what I will say to that is, if we are to choose our master principle, bearing in mind, if we don't get the master principle, the selection and maintenance of the aim established, then anything else we do thereafter falls apart. There's 10 principles in war. Selection and maintenance of the aim must come first. So I will keep that loose. My selection, this is my suggestion. Again, if people want to do something differently, crack on with, if you've got warfighting experience, put it to full advantage. But my opinion, based upon, I mean, I've done tons and tons of kind of research to back this up. The aim that we need to achieve is a state of freedom. And I mean, I put on the chat before what freedom means. It's a state of being in possession of your own mind and body, and to be able to make decisions of your own free will without coercion. I mean, or words to that effect. You can
That's
use that
brilliantly
as,
put.
what does freedom mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it means. Are we going to get any of that with government? Absolutely not, because the word government means mind control. And what do government do? They deny people of their rights, freedoms, and liberties by coercion. So everything government do is designed to take away freedom. And
Spot on.
at this state of time, at this state of the war that we're in, we are losing pretty much all our freedoms. And it's with everybody in the truth movement knows this. We're losing all our rights and freedoms, because that's what Agenda 2030 is all about, to deny you and I and our future of our rights, liberties, and freedoms.
Absolutely spot right on. I'll give you a clap there.
Hey.
But the thing. So I'm not going to give you a clap. I'm going to give. Like, do you remember what it says? You'll give clap, yeah. You know, Chinese. No, but seriously, this is we need a meme. I really do believe that. I mean, Dave Starbuck came out with one with "Have you had enough yet?"
Yeah.
And was it as governments are seriously harm your mental and physical health, which is true. But we need something. And this is what I found frustrated in the truth movement. You know, you had the woo-woo enthusiasts, always going to be a spiritual awakening. And as I said in that article, the spiritual awakening they will get is a jackboot up their arse from the government.
I agree. Do you know what? Here's a good meme for you, and I agree. A meme is a great way to impact something upon, etch it into our understanding. And this is what the dark occultists, the engineers of the social paradigm do all the time. They come up with little catchphrases, and you'll notice it's always 3 words like "build back better," or "hands, face, space," to support whatever
That's
psyop.
interesting.
They do it all the time.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, Paul's notices. Hello, mate.
Yeah.
By the way, nice
Oh,
to
yes,
listen to you.
Hands, knees, and bumps a daisy.
So
Look,
here's
they like the sets of 3s, don't they?
yeah,
That's
because
what
it's like a principle of nature. And I'm not going to do the triangle thing with my fingers again, because it'll probably upset people thinking I'm in the big bad club.
Illuminati.
Yeah, but what I will say, we all know that these things happen in 3s. Lots of things happen in 3s. Why? Because it's almost like a building block of how reality works in a sense. So another thing that composes reality is something called the trivium, the 3 roads that leads to the truth. But that's a subject of another conversation, I guess. But anyway, if we understand 3 words going to etch in our understanding, well, how about this? And this is one for the truth movement. Sorry, truthers. No bluff, too tough. It's a bit of it's not quite the 3 words, but no bluff, too tough.
I'll write that one down. Was it no bluff, too tough? That's a good one.
But the 3 word phrase that I would come up with is action, not words. Action, not words. And I said before, one thing the North Koreans and anybody else who fell victim to totalitarian agendas or, hostilities in their own countries through their own political systems, they've found, I don't know if they've found this out, but if you factor in what was the common denominator in all these places of oppression, they failed to take action. They may have, and this brings me back to, this, everyone's waking up. Yeah, I've got no dispute with that whatsoever. People are waking up, probably in a mass, mass numbers. But if they don't take appropriate action, it's what's known in the occult as right action. If you don't take right action, you may as well just go home, because you've failed to do nothing with your understanding. Now, I mentioned the trivium before. The trivium is the building blocks of reality. And remember, we're talking about spiritual values here. So we can't go out with, I don't know, some sort of measurement stick. We can't go out with a reality laser and point it at the sky and come up with this. This is something that's processed through reasoning, the powers of deduction, through reasoning with logic and principle. It's a power. It's like a mental power, and this is why. I mean, you mentioned the word spiritual awakening before. There needs to be a spiritual awakening, because how else can you understand spiritual values if you don't wake up? You don't awaken to spiritual requirements or spiritual values. So this needs to be processed in the mind.
But not a government-run one, because after the First World War, it was the Secret Service that introduced a spiritual awakening as a misdirection because of what happened with the finances, because the country was on the verge of an uprising. So
Yeah,
they used
totally
that,
great.
and I think that I know it sounds if I'm going off the track, but I'm sure I'm not. A very good film, although historically inaccurate, is Gladiator. I don't know if you've ever seen Gladiator.
Yeah.
I don't know, being a military man, did you ever look at it and think, oh, load of old crap in some parts? Although there is one part where they're standing in the Colosseum, the arena there, and they don't know what's coming out at them. And Russell Crowe, was it Russell Crowe? I think is it? He said, "Is anybody in the military?" The bloke, yes. He said, "Right, we've got to stick together." And they got their shields and they made like a sort of shield around themselves with their spears, so that whatever came out at them, they were ready, and they were working as a team. And I think that good general will find the talent we've all got different talents in different ways. Now, for example, if you try to teach me how to use a gun, Steve, the only thing I know about a gun is the hole at the end of a long tube where the bullet comes out. That's my total knowledge of guns. So I'd probably end up shooting myself in the foot. But ask me to go into a back room and sort of work something out, logistics out, I'll probably be all right at that. But actually, the actual firing the bullets and things like that, I'd probably be a bleeding. I don't know. I might shoot myself in the foot accidentally. I don't know. I might be the biggest wally ever, or I might be good at it. I don't know. But the fact is, we've all got skills, some of us, that we don't know. And we've got all these skills hanging around. And we're not being coercive. As you said, Paul, what was it? You said at the beginning of the show that we've got to work.
We need to be in unity.
Unity.
We need to unite.
Yeah.
We need to be working together.
Yeah.
As a team, basically.
So,
because whilst we're all individually,
whilst
we're all.
Go on, all right, sorry, mate. I didn't want to step on you when you were speaking. I mean, I agree with you in principle there, Paul, 100%. But what I would add to that is the unity that we are looking for is not us all coming together as one big happy family doing a Gingang sort of, being able to I don't know, come on the battlefield and have all this unity as such. The unity that we need is the unity in principle. We need unity of principles of how nature works and how what's known as natural law works. If we don't have that understanding, then what we've done is we've basically entered on the spiritual battlefield unarmed, because we don't understand the spiritual nature of reality. We haven't allowed for it. And if we don't understand it, then we can't use that knowledge in order to formulate some form of defense or some form of attack. Now, if we're forever on the back foot, and again, I'll be quite honest, this is what the Truth Movement are doing. They're doing everything defensively. Everything they're doing is defensively. It's in response to, look what the government have done now. Look what the cabal's done next. Or look at this thing that they're doing. And what we do is then we get out with placards, petitions, complaints, and then we complain about the effect. Now, one thing we need to know, if we don't understand things like natural law and the occult, what we don't know is we don't know how reality works. So reality works through principles, and it works. And one of those principles is, if we understand the trivium, for example, we can understand the building blocks that make reality function. And also, we also need to understand another principle, a dynamic in nature. It's called natural law, which is governed by the consequences of our behavior. So therefore, if we don't understand behavior, by the way, is morality. If we don't understand morality, then we don't understand what shapes our behaviors and how the universe is shaped as a result of that. Now, that might sound a little bit complicated if this is the first time somebody's kind of heard of these terms and words before. But these words, and this is why, I mean, you say the hidden power of words. If we don't understand the language of warfare, of spiritual warfare, then we don't understand what we can do to formulate either a defense or an attack. Now, if we're working defensively, we will be able to run, but eventually we will,
We're on the
we
back
will be
foot.
caught out. We'll be on the back foot.
Yeah.
We can run, but we can't hide forever. So everything we're doing at the minute, the truth movement, and by the way, I want the truth movement to win, which is why I give them a hard time, why I'm basically slapping them over the head with a wet cod, because they need to understand the language in order to become effective spiritual warriors. Now, this sounds flowery. Trust me, I'm not. It might sound a little bit flowery to some, but again, if you don't understand what's known as the doctrinal language of the occult, then your understanding will not be up to speed. So when I talk about spirituality is not New Age guff. It's not flower power hippie festival dancing around a fire and love and light absolute bollocks that the New Age community talk about. Spirituality is freedom, and it's freedom gained from experience deep unity with the understanding of the universe and the attainment of the self-awareness towards the truth. And if we don't get that bit, in our minds and understand what it means, then again we'll become like New Agers. Absolutely, no offense, New Agers, but you definitely got to win this fight, and I don't want you on my team because you ain't got the balance of the universe in sight because you don't understand it. And I know that sounds a little bit mean, but when I say the balance of the universe, I talk about principles. That what the New Agers don't understand is they don't understand the self-defense principle. So I might have said this a couple of weeks back. There's two principles of the universe. They're known as the pillars of enlightenment. On one hand, we've got the self-defense principle, and the other hand, we've got the non-aggression principle. Yin and yang, if you can imagine that symbol. If you take one away, the roof collapses. So,
Spot on. And it only needs a little thing. I mean, for example, Rugmaster has said most need to see the abyss before they change. Many will perish in it. And the thing is, though, Steve, years ago, war was simple, wasn't it? It was, look at the First World War. It's Germans. People's job description was to kill Germans because they were the enemy. Simple as simple could be. Go back even further through the centuries. It's that lot over there coming along with their cavalry. And if you don't get your bow and arrow and shoot like crap, they're going to take you over. They're going to kill your women. So you got to, you got to outmaneuver them. You got to overpower them. It's not that simple now because people don't really know who the enemy is.
Yeah.
Looking around and they're saying, oh, it's the Muslims, it's the Jews, it's the Christians, it's this, it's that, it's that, it's this, that. The root, I think, and I really do think, is the usury scammers, and they could be of any religion or any color or race, doesn't give a damn. They're psychopathic, and they are controlling the world using finances and governments. So once we get to the head of the snake, that's it. But how do we get that head of the snake? So we've got to say who the enemy really is. And it's not racial, and it's nothing to do with race, and it's not to do with culture as such. It is to do with a different type of being, which I think has been scientifically proven that psychopaths are a subspecies of human, predatory ones, and they're predators on us.
Yeah,
people can't get that.
I suppose the thing is the current warfare we're in at the moment, though, is more, as you say, it's more spiritual than anything. It's not guns and people shooting each other. We've got the government basically trying to destroy the family, trying to destroy every aspect of our lives that we know now. But it's being done in a subtle way in many cases. Like we've said many times on here about how how the family unit is slowly being destroyed with
Yes.
various things like phones and games, and they don't the family unit there, which obviously if you'd have gone back 100 years or 50 years or whatever, we were all family orientated, and that's been as good as wiped out now, I would say.
Yes,
The family
that's
side of
right.
things is pretty much gone, and that's what the warfare we're seeing now is aimed at. It's more aimed at breaking us from within.
I
I
agree with
suppose
you. I agree with you.
basically getting us to implode, I suppose, is probably the
Hmm.
best description, because that's what's actually
Well,
happening
I
ultimately.
was talking
No shots are being fired, but they are destroying the family unit.
I was talking to someone today who said these 5G towers. Oh, hang on. I just down a bit, and uh, I, I'm these 5G towers and things like that. People are spending lots of money. They're protesting, but they're still putting the towers up. But he said, what they don't realise is the electronics in those towers are damaged by rainwater. Isn't that a shame? Oh, we still got the tune
It's
going.
a shame we're not getting any.
Yeah. Hang on, we'll let this run out, shall we? And we carry on. Eat more fruit. Yeah.
You have been listening to Fockham Hall with Eric Von Essex. Remember, whatever you do, have a bloody good laugh.
And that's it. We say goodbye. Say goodbye to Food for Thought Radio. What I was going to say is, he said people are going around cutting these posts and things down. But he said what they don't realise, he said, is a few gaps in the. And he said it's terrible what they're doing. Mustn't applaud vandalism. But he says rainwater does a lot of damage. That's all he said. And it's using our
We lost
brains.
you.
There's can I make a point on that?
Certainly.
I admire I'd almost say the gumption of the people who are going up against let's say the 5G infrastructure.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've proved themselves to be absolute buffoons when it comes to understanding anything whatsoever about any kind of warfare whatsoever. So not just spiritual warfare, but just any type of warfare. Right. So if the truth movement don't understand concepts of warfare, again, why would they? Because we're civilians. So therefore, if it's a civilian, that's an illegitimate target in any type of warfare, which makes anybody who's targeting civilians a war criminal, i.e. the British government and beyond. World governments are de facto war criminals who have committed treason and crimes against humanity in practically everything they've done since the year 2020, and probably a lot more since before that. However, we still are not deterred by the concept of government. That makes us dumb. But not only that, because we don't understand principles of warfare, we're going against targets that are going to have absolutely, and I'm going to say the word again, absolutely zero chance of changing the outcome to our future. Absolute zero. Why? And I'll tell you exactly why. Whether you think 5G infrastructure is bad, harmful, or anything else, cutting down infrastructure is...
There's nothing quite like the smell of fresh bread.
What's
It
going
fills
on
your home with warmth and comfort.
Sorry
Witness
about that. I
the
don't know where that came
transformation
from.
as simple ingredients bake into a
Cut down
beautiful,
infrastructure
delicious
to
loaf.
fresh bread.
The
There you
taste
go.
is even better than the smell.
Well,
Pure,
the thing is, it's
authentic
a tactical
flavors crafted with
consideration.
passion.
So there's
Support
three
local
layers when it comes to
artisans
warfare.
and discover
There's
your
three
new
layers:
favorite bread spot.
tactical,
Tap the link
operational, and
in
strategic.
bio or
So
visit
at the
Food
minute,
Finders Hub
as well
to
as
discover amazing
conducting
bakers in your neighborhood.
defensive,
Your taste
and
buds will
again,
thank you.
every last thing the truth movement has done has been defensive. Like I say, you can run, but you can't hide. So if your tactics are defensive, well, guess what? It'll buy you time, but eventually all you're going to do is dig yourself a hole, you'll fall in it, and you'll get captured. So everything's been defensive, and not only that, it's been conducted on the tactical scale. Tactical is cutting down infrastructure. So when Dumbos are cutting 5G masts down, or they're
Wake
going
up your
around
mind.
doing something with you
Fill up your day.
I admire your
Smart
your
little bites
gumption,
that
but
brighten your
gumption's gonna get
way.
you absolutely
You're listening
nowhere.
to Food
Not
for
considered
Thought
first
Radio
second,
here at
not considered
FFTradio.com.
They've
Clap,
not
moo, oink.
considered
Food for
at
Thought
all
Radio here
Therefore,
at FFTradio.com.
war against people who are absolute professionals at this. Most people don't even know the type of warfare we're in, which I'm going to mention it now. I've mentioned the term spiritual war, but that's a kind of we can understand that because we realize it's a battle between good and evil. Like I say, spirituality is about morality and human behavior, and if the human behavior is immoral, well, we can deduce that the spiritual war is based on immorality. However, more technically, psychological warfare, I'm sure most people have picked that one up. What about information warfare? What about asymmetric warfare? And again, I'm going to guess most people in the entire truth community have got no idea what that word even means. So what I will mention is cognitive warfare. Cognitive warfare is probably the most accurate and probably the most prominent aspect of what we're in. But I'm also going to mention another one, which is probably nobody's got a clue on, which is hegemonic warfare. Again, look these terms up, or what I will say is join the Occult Academy where I explain all of these things and more. Or I think my next book that I'm doing with Nathan it's actually called the Spiritual Warfare Survival Guide, which explains these terms in detail, because if we don't understand what's being done against us, how can we expect to fight back? Like I say, the three-pronged phraseology I came with was action, not words. Right? Because when we understand the words, and this is how the trivium works. The trivium works like this. Again, the trivium is the three roads that leads to the truth. And if you understand the truth, then you understand how reality is formulated. If you understand how reality is formulated, you can then step foot on the spiritual battlefield and actually be able to kick ass. Unlike being absolute mongos with no chance whatsoever, because you're wasting your time with absolute useless concepts that's going to do absolutely nothing except ensure your own demise. I can guarantee it. And I'm speaking almost 30 years as a combat professional. If people aren't willing to take advice of somebody who knows how warfare works, well, off you go, lose, get destroyed, get annihilated, because that's what's coming, and you've got 4 years until that actually happens.
And you've got experience and bloody good training, and this is the thing. But what can Mr. or Mrs. Average do, as the old saying goes, on the Clapham omnibus? I mean, I think we're all frontline soldiers, whether we like it or not. Doesn't matter what age you are or who you are, we're frontline. We've got to do something.
Yeah,
and
that's a great point. Yeah.
This is the thing. And as I was saying earlier, we should be in a world where you or I think, I fancy going to Australia tomorrow, and just turn up at the airport and they say, oh, yes, there's a plane leaving in about 10 minutes. Yeah. And just dump on it. Just go. Yeah. Wouldn't that be lovely? No bloody passport checks or anything like that. And I think we can live in a world. That is something I'd aim for.
Yeah.
And this is what, who was that bloke? Not Freddie Laker. It was another bloke who did Cheap Airways. He wanted to turn airlines into a bus service where you can literally turn up and jump on the plane and just go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And it should be cheap as chips. It shouldn't cost thousands of pounds. I say, oh yeah, how much to go to Australia? Oh, 10 quid, 20 quid, something like that. That's
ultimately travel should be free anyway, because we have the right to travel, so it should be free anyway.
Well, that's it. But I was saying earlier, for example, roads full of bloody potholes. I don't know what it's like where you are, Steve, but it looks like, well, you could take a picture of it and say this picture was taken in a war-torn area, and believe it, there's so many potholes where I am. Well, if we had responsibility and people, firms that repaired roads or built roads, and people voluntarily pay the kind of tax for it. They voluntarily, they'd have to do a good job because people say, sod that, I'm not paying them. And we could have a fantastic road network with no potholes, because those people that are maintaining those roads would make sure that there was no hold-ups, that there'd be nice and clean, nice roads. And this is the problem.
Well, I guess the thing also with that is that if the problem we've got at the moment is that any construction firm is bound to be owned by somebody in government,
Yep.
so they make backhanders on that. Whereas if the money you pay to the road repair people, let's take it as that, is just solely used for that purpose and not to pay some shareholder at the top, then they'd want to do the best job they possibly could, wouldn't they?
Well, that's
When
right.
you've got a shareholder at the top who doesn't give a toss about, give them the cheapest, crappiest lorry, give them the cheapest, crappiest materials, because they know that in a couple of years' time they're going to get that money again because the job will need to be done again. If you're paying for a quality service and you actually get the quality you expect, then people will happily pay towards that, I guess.
Well, that's right.
Whereas
You
if you're
would.
getting a substandard service, like, dare I say, the trains locally here at the moment, Transport for Wales, pile of crap. I don't think I'm getting value for money at all.
Well,
with the crappy service they give.
I agree with you. And I mean, we've got a choice of what shops we shop in. And that choice is getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. But if I go into a supermarket and they do me a shit deal, I'm not going to go to that supermarket again. I've opened my feet and go somewhere else. And this is the thing. We can't do that with government services. Like the stupid thing about where I live, so everywhere, they privatise water, so that only the shareholders will get a massive, and they get a massive profit. So I can't tell the water company who supply my house with water to get stuffed and go to another water company. I can't do that. There's only one water company. So how can that be competitive, and how can that be freedom? There's no freedom in it at all.
Well, but the point is though, with that in that situation, it'd still be the same water you'd be getting through the tap, whether it's
Yeah.
supplied by Bob, Fred, or whoever. They're not going to.
So
Fred
it's a
will turn and
rip
say,
off.
"I'll tell you what, we're not going to supply you from the Thames. We'll supply you from the River Severn, but we'll need to tanker it
Yeah.
into you each day if that's all right with you."
But I mean, I think going back to what we was originally talking about, I think people need a clear vision, an objective. Like, for example, in my profession, a client comes along and you get a brief that says, well, they want this, they want that. And you sort of see that in your mind's eye and you think, right, that's what we've got to aim for. I guess in the military, Steve, positive in the military, you've got a job to do. They'll give you a brief of what you got to do, and you will, from experience, realize that, well, there's been a problem here, a problem there, and you would execute that problem in the most efficient way possible with the guns and ammunition and that you need. But there is no objective. It's all flowery. And if we had something that says, right, we want to build a world that's like this, we'd have something to aim for. In World War II, there's a tune that was brought out called "It's a Lovely Day Tomorrow," to give people a feeling, yeah, we're going to win this war, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. When the war's over, we're going to do that. There's none of that spirit. How are we going to get that spirit?
I don't know how we're going to get that spirit, but I mean, I know what my tactics would be to give people a bit of spirit. And that is, as I said before, I'd just hit them over the head with a dead cod until it knocks some sense in them. And I say that sounds a little bit blunt and probably a little bit mean, but literally, I've just explained, 5 minutes ago, we're getting our asses kicked completely to the point where we're going to be massively defeated. And again, I can't convey all of my understanding of how warfare works and how it's generated, and my understanding of the occult in order to share that knowledge in a very short space of time. This needs to be understood, though. But until we get to that level of information and accept that because we've assimilated it individually on an individual level, not just because I've said it, because we've actually acknowledged it in our own heads, because we've digested, we've come to philosophize, we've come to educate ourselves, internalize and cognitively process the understanding, the holistic understanding of what's going on in the world and why, by having an enemy-focused assessment and what I call, what is known in military terms as a combat estimate. If we haven't processed an estimate of the situation, which is enemy-focused in our own heads, then we are just running around like hamsters on a wheel, like headless chickens, wondering what to do next. We've got, again, these things have to be known and digested in the trivium. Again, that use the trivium as a guideline. So you asked earlier, what can people do on an individual basis? Well, one thing they can do, definitely do this, learn what the occult is about, learn what natural law is about, learn objective morality, learn the trivium. If you don't understand the world that you're in, because you've completely rejected occult, which means hidden values relating to spiritual natures, the spiritual and mental laws of nature, how the world is actually governed. And I'm not talking about the bollocks that you learn in physics or science. So a lot of this is accurate, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't tell anything to do with the principles of how the world works. So, for example, who's familiar with the Hermetic principles in the truth movement? I'm sure many people have heard of them, but what do they know about it? So, for instance, the first Hermetic principle is the law of mentality. The universe is mental. The universe is a mental domain. If we don't understand what that means, then how can we apply it in reality? Here's another one, the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. So every effect has a cause. Why do we need to know that? Because what the truth movement are doing in their infinite wisdom is they are working upon the plane of effects. So every time, let's just say the government come up with something like digital ID is a great one, or the latest one is the data centers. The truth numpties are up in arms over the data centers. Rightly so. Who wants data centers? Well, the only people who don't want data centers at this point in time is the truth movement. Everybody else couldn't give a crap. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I am saying is we are now concentrating our efforts, our time and our attention on an effect. The effect is a data center. What we're not doing is we're not going into the root causal factors that's creating the effect. The law of cause and effect, what comes first? The cause. What comes after? The effect. If we concentrate time and effort on the effect, do we honestly think that we are going to change the situation? Absolutely not. Again, because people don't understand the occult, so they don't understand how the universe works, so they don't understand how to actually navigate their way through it in a spiritual war.
Spot right on. And I think also, when you look at the history of governments, as I've said, they've caused more deaths amongst the people they're supposed to represent than all the wars put together. They're lethal, absolutely lethal. And it's like inviting someone into your house who hasn't got a bloody clue how you live to tell you how to live. That's what voting for a government is like. You say, "Oh, piss off! I know how to run in my own house. I know what I want for dinner." This is the thing. But I think really, I mean, what they're doing in where was it now? Turkey is they're standing outside government buildings and just not saying anything, just remaining silent, just watching, and playing a kind of psychological warfare on them. But I think you're right. We've got to sort of change our mentality in a way.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head. Do you know, you mentioned a couple of things there. What they're doing in Turkey, they're basically having a silent protest. I mean, it sounds great. It's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing you can do. Yeah. Why? Because basically what you're doing is you're not voicing your opinion to your slave masters. You're just standing up and showing your slave masters that you can't even be bothered to talk to them. You can't even be bothered to negotiate with your slave masters. But either whether you talk to them, protest with them, sign petitions, vote for another slave master, what you've done is inside your head in a spiritual war, you've accepted your place in a master-slave relationship. If you have to then tell other people that you're not happy with the absolute BS that they're sending you or giving you, then you've accepted that you are a slave and you will ultimately remain a slave because inside your head, you've accepted it. It's not until you fix this do you fix that. You fix your head, stop being a slave in your head by knowing what freedom means, what freedom doesn't mean, know what rights are and what rights aren't. Know what liberty
what
is.
they're doing is swapping one master for another master.
Yeah. In other words, what they haven't done is they haven't become their own master. So when Eric mentioned before, you need a mental revolution. Exactly. 101%. If you ain't got a mental revolution going on inside your head, realize and come to terms with you are the master of your life. Nobody else owns you, because they might claim that, but if you accept that, then you've accepted slavery and servitude. If you've accepted slavery as your operating domain, then what you haven't done is you've accepted liberty, you've not accepted autonomy, you've not accepted sovereignty, you've not accepted freedom. So if you've not accepted it in your head, the trivium, again, look up what the trivium is, the 3 roads that leads to truth. If inside your own head, you are still stuck because you haven't got the information that's going to drive your understanding and process your actions through what's known as wisdom, then you will never, ever, 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 till the end of time, have a suitable effect in order to gain whatever you want in a war. You simply, again, if you don't understand how that works, if you don't understand the language of the occult, instead of thinking, no, it just means evil and it's about witchcraft, well, I'm going to say you're an absolute mong, you're a retard, you're a Dumbo, and you're absolutely living in the Stone Age. And if you expect to be winning and progressing and evolving and having a mental and spiritual evolution inside your own head, you can dream on, because that's not going to happen. You've got to have the knowledge driven by the information to process your actions. And I hate to say it, and I probably sound a little bit coarse and annoyed even, or vexed, because I see the truth movement doing the same stupidity time and time again. They don't want to listen because they're stuck in their own arrogance and ego. All of these conditions are not going to drive your mind and process your mind for the better. You need to wipe out the crap that's floating in there, spew it out, start using these things which are called ears, and notice there's 2 of them and there's 1 of them. Stop talking crap, stop listening to crap, and you'll find that when you become acquainted with the knowledge and the language of what's known as the occult, the esoteric language that shows how the fabric of reality is constructed, then you might start to actually be able to pay dividends and fix the situation that we're all in.
Well, Stephen Coombs has come out with an interesting one.
Chaps, I was going to say, I'm going to need to drop off if that's
okay. I understand. Don't worry.
I'm absolutely exhausted.
I'm a little bit exhausted.
And
actually, I'm absolutely. Is it this weather? But Steve, are you finding you getting a bit knackered? I mean, or am I getting a bit old? I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
I think probably it's the weather,
might be listening to me banging on.
No, but it's just I
was feeling tired before you came on.
Well, before you go, mate, Stephen Coombs has come up with a cracker here. The English language was created to enslave and mock us. The dark occult use signs and symbols to cast their spells upon us. So
yeah,
but it's in every part of life.
Yeah.
If people
legally,
watch football, if people shop, it doesn't matter where they go, the symbolism's everywhere.
But as Paul will tell you, Paul understands numerology and gematria, if you understand the symbols, the language of the, because they're just occult disciplines, if you understand that, it's like four warned is forearmed, or forearmed is forewarned. It's, if you've got knowledge, well, that knowledge, well, yeah, that's what they're using against you. But if you know their secret code, it has less effect because you're already at an advantageous position. And this is why I'm saying, if people want to do one thing, learn what the occult is about, especially in regards to natural law, which is a moral philosophy. And again, if people think that's about witchcraft and demonology, well, you've got to be an absolute moron if you think that. Moral philosophy is not evil. It's about knowing right from wrong, good from bad, evil, knowing what evil is. If you know what evil is, I mean, I would say that the listener audience and beyond, give me the definition of evil. What is the definition of evil? Because I can guarantee a lot of people will have a stab at it and get it wrong, or they'll not be quite on the money. And therefore, if they don't understand a word, how can they expect to understand a principle based on that word? And this is why the knowledge of language and etymology, again, occult disciplines, is so important.
Yeah, you're right. But
I've been trying to teach people numerology and gematria over the last 5 years since I've been learning it myself. And some people get it. As I said, there's a chap at work who is shit hot at decoding, to the point where if anybody on here still follows football, you're wasting your time. The current, is it the World, not the World Cup, the Championship, or the Premier League, whatever it is the 35th Premier League, and all at the moment it's linking to JFK, John F. Kennedy, because he was the 35th president of the US. And the first, what this chap sent me was absolutely amazing. So so JFK's dog was called Wolf. The first football match in the championship was Wolves versus Blackburn, so Wolf. And the score at half time went to 1-1. And then it was final. When the final score was done, it was 2-2. And JFK died on the 22nd of November, 2211. This guy is an absolute genius. I taught him, and he's shit hot at it now.
Well, that's right.
But if people are following, and I've been trying to teach this to a couple of my other friends, and there's a chap I speak to on the way when I walk to and from work, and he said to me the other day, he said, because I've been drip feeding the numerology to this chap as well, and he said, I thought about you the other day. He said, I was watching the World Cup final, and Messi they put up the board up 3-2-2 to bring Messi on or take him off, whatever it was. And he said, You've been telling me about that number. And I thought, brilliant, that's another one woken up. But then there's other people that you can give all the information to, and no matter how you word it, I gave this other friend of mine so much information and proof that it works, and it works every time. The numerology works every single time. But no matter how much information you give this to some people, they'll still say it's coincidence. And I don't know if they're just completely lost, or whether
it's a science religion.
Show them anymore.
It's the science religion that is taken over. You listen to people like Stephen Fry. He's brainwashed with the science music religion. But Matilda Warr has asked a question. So Matilda, in Revelations, it says all nations were deceived by pharmakia, which means witchcraft. Is there any truth in that?
We'll just have to look to see what's happened in reality in recent years. Yeah, every nation on Earth, practically 6.6 billion people, 6.66 billion people, which was announced, by the way, on Halloween night by Bloomberg Press. 6.66 people have been exterminated. Funny numbers, funny day to make that announcement. Well, yeah, all of these people have basically been succumbed to witchcraft from pharmakia, and they've taken the number 666 death jab. Why? Because WO202006060666, promulgated in America by something called HR, House of Representatives, Bill numbers 6666, so 4 sixes, to propagate a value that the British government came out, which is stand 6 feet apart with no more than 6 people for 6 months. And again, how long was lockdown till the end of restrictions? If you guess 666 days, well done, top of the class. I mean, why were all of these things in place? Why? Because you're basically dealing with people who understand how satanic rituals work, how mind control works, how psychological warfare works, how cognitive warfare works, and all the rest of it, how they can use all these principles to basically completely obliterate people through their minds. If you own their minds, you own their bodies. And if you own their bodies, you are a slave master. And sadly, we're still slaves because we're still buying into this system, which just poisoned the entire planet. We must be insane.
I agree with you, but also they have got the greatest weapon that we haven't got, and that is the media. Because people are brainwashed by the media. So I'm thinking that but we can do black propaganda back, like Sefton Delmer did. Sefton Delmer was the head of black propaganda. Why can't we learn off of him? And he was a nasty piece of work, and use black propaganda back at the government, which will try and get people's brains working. Just a thought.
Well, there's a simple solution to that one, isn't it? If the media is their biggest weapon, all people need to do is just switch it off.
Yeah. This is
it's that simple, isn't it?
Paul, I'm going to have you on my team,
switch
mate.
it off at the plug and job done.
So Paul's come up with the best answer there. Right, we've recognised, and again, we're not doing a full military style combat estimate process here, but what we've done just through our simple dialogue, we've ascertained 2 aspects of enemy forces, the situation regarding the enemy. Remember, the process needs to be enemy focused. What are the enemy doing and why? Well, who is the enemy? Well, we've come up with, well, the media's doing this and the government are doing that. Well, that automatically, again, we can elaborate on that and do a whole load of more processing to basically get to the weeds of what these organizations are doing. Well, what are they doing? Basically, they're trying to screw us over. So what are we doing about it? Well, all we're doing is we're still paying our TV license. We're still buying the newspapers. We're still watching Sky TV. We're still paying our taxes. We're still voting for numpties in government. We're still believing and advocating and condoning a system that's trying to kill us. Well, who is the enemy? Who else is the enemy in this situation? We are our own enemy because we're too dumb. We're simply too stupid. We've won the Darwinian Awards because we're basically, the stupidest people in nature. We've believed in a system that's trying to kill us. And even when we've come to that understanding, we're still believing in the system. We've got to be insane. We need to stop being insane by fixing this. And then when you fix that, we fix the outer world. That's known in the Hermetic principles, the way the reality is governed as the law of correspondence. As above, so below. So within, so without. Again, these are principles of the occult and natural law. If we don't understand the language, well, good luck in the New World Order.
I agree. I think that the big problem is people wake up when it's too late. That is the real big problem. And they need to be shown what's going to happen. They don't use their imagination to know what's going to happen.
But even when you do show them, I mean, like say, there's a couple of people, like I said before, there's a couple of people I've been showing the numerology stuff to, and I keep being told, well, you manipulate the numbers, and I said, there's no manipulation involved. I can't make words have values. They have those values. Yeah. And like, for example, I gave the example of 83 and 38. 83 and 38 both equal murder. So Jimmy Cricket died on the 3rd of August, which is 38 and 83. And even when you explain this stuff and show so much information about, like, for example, you've got the Murder by Numbers film with Sandra Bullock, who also equals 83. And the poster itself shows the B and the E changed to an 8 and a 3. They're telling us what it means. And then you've got the Murder by Numbers single that came out by the Police, which was ready in 82, but conveniently was not released till 83. And I've shown all this in these examples. And beyond that, we obviously know the number 322 means quite a lot to them. And can you believe that between the release date of the Police single and the film coming out is exactly 18 years and 322 days? They're telling us as plain as it could be, and I do get really pissed off with people. And I'm sure I'm completely transparent with what I post. So if I decode a news article, I put a copy of the link to the news article so they can read it themselves. I put screen prints in, even down to the video lengths. Is telling you what, if people could understand it, the video lengths themselves are telling you what the news article really is about, if they bother to look into it. But I still get almost just coincidence. No, it really isn't. I've worked out 120 odd pages in Word of decodes I've done, and it's worked every single time. And this one friend of mine, I said to him, well, give me 5 celebrities that you know who've died, and I'll look into them for you. And he gave me these 5 individuals. One was Winston Churchill, who died. It was all linked to Freemasonry, basically,
1965
with his
wasn't
death.
it?
Yeah. And there was another one, a chap called Guy Gibson, which I mentioned last
Bottle
night,
pilot.
who died 38 days after his birthday on day 263. Well, 83 and 38 both equal murder. He was part of the 83rd Squadron, so 38. So he was earmarked for death anyway. And then it was on day 263. Well, 263 links to Anne Whittingham. Anne Whittingham's killer, apparently, drove 263 miles. Now, if that news article had said 261, 262, or 264, those numbers don't mean anything, but 263 is skull and bones.
And Whittaker's.
And even when you explain this,
Yeah.
and they still see it as coincidence. No.
Well,
No, they've told you.
I think Anne Whittaker's killer, the way is a patsy, and that was a professional job was done there, and she was done in deliberately because she was saying too much. And I think they're assassins.
Well, I think she was a member of Skull and Bones, to be honest with you, which is why they told you that he drove 263 miles, and it was 88 days before her birthday or after her birthday, which is Masonic ritual.
There's
88.
one thing that's important about the basic disciplines of occultism. And again, occultism, for anybody listening who might think this, occultism is not a religion. It's about hidden knowledge relating to esoteric values. And when I say the word esoteric, it means like the inner sanctum of those who know and those who don't know. So there's a lot of people Nathan and I wrote Fake Awake, which is about, well, lots of people have started to wake up to the truth, but they're in an exoteric understanding, i.e. they've got a sense of understanding of the outer layers, if you like, the outer layers of the onions that they've started to peel away, but they haven't peeled into the sweeter inner core. They haven't got to the meaty parts, because they haven't yet reached that level of their understanding, the esoteric understanding. So the occult is the language of these hidden values that help us peel back the layers of the onion. And the more you dig into it, the more you start to uncover what's known as the truth. So if you've only got a very, basic appreciation of the truth, then you can't really do much with it. Hence the term Fake Awake. But if you start to look into it, you discover more and more. It's a philosophy, and the word philosophy means the love of wisdom, because you've got to love the wisdom in order to search for it. So it's not an easy thing to do. But the reason I'm mentioning this is simply because if we're not uncovering these disciplines of the occult, and bearing in mind things like gematria and numerology, etymology, tarot, Kabbalah, all of these things, some people, oh, don't mention Kabbalah, that's evil. All right, well, so a lot of people think the occult is evil, but no, it's about evil and it's also about good. Just like a hammer can be used for creating something or can be used to destroy something. It's the same tool. But the reason I'm mentioning this, things like gematria, when you're banging your head against the wall trying to tell people, listen, look at this, there's a pattern in nature. That's what it reveals. It's a pattern in nature. So just tell your friends or people you're trying to explain to, do you know what the measurement of intelligence is? Do you know how or what intelligence is? It's the ability to observe patterns in nature. So if you observe, and you've done an excellent job explaining all of these number values, and look, this links to this links to that, etc., etc. Well, that's intelligence. What's the intelligence about? It's about the pervasive intelligence, the underlying value of what lies below the surface of reality. This is the spiritual values of creation. Now, the people who aren't accepting it, and ignoring it, it's because they are ego damaged. They're still living in their own arrogance because they're too egotistical to expect or to accept rather that there's something bigger than they are. They think they're hey number one in the universe. No, you've got it wrong, son. The creator is hey number one in this universe. And if you can dig deep enough, you can see how this architecture is written in plain sight. You just need the eyes to see it. And this is what the occult is all about. It's giving you the eyes to see how reality is formulated.
Yeah, you're right. And as I say, it's a shame that the word always makes people think it's to do with witchcraft, which it isn't. So that's it. The saddest, and what Stephen Coombs has said, is the saddest thing about it all is they've been using the same gameplays for millennia, and we still fall for it every
Brilliant.
time.
Well done, Stephen. Yeah.
And I think it's a form of hypnosis. I really do. I think people are hypnotized into believing things. And I think that people are hypnotized by this chap, Rupert Lowe, and people like that, who's doing exactly the same as Thatcher did, exactly the same as Blair did. And that is telling people what they want to hear. Because what people want is hope, but it's false hope that governments put out. And what we're offering is a real hope. Big difference. And people seem to want to go for the fiction hope and not the real hope. Because the real hope,
but of course,
is different.
Well, of course, that boils back down to the title of this radio show, doesn't it? Because ultimately, it is the hidden power of words.
That's right.
And these people use the power of words to reel people in, basically. And again, like we've said, if people understood what a lot of the words mean and understood numerology and gematria, they wouldn't fall for it. No, we wouldn't be in the shit we're in now if people understood it. And I suspect people within our radio show and the audience do understand a lot about numerology and gematria. But if every single individual even had just a slight inkling, and like I said, by me talking to these different people, and I was talking to one of my neighbours the other day and sort of explained little bits to her, and she sort of didn't really get it that much, but it might be enough to just drop that little trinket there that when something big comes along, they'll question it. And even these people, I was saying that my two friends who I was trying to teach it to, even though it hasn't been successful ultimately, I still like to think somewhere within there it has been. So when something comes along with a number that we've talked about a number of times, it might be enough for them to start to question. Oh, hang about. He's told me about that. It might be just enough. It may not be, but who knows?
Well, there's little things that happen.
I'm not going to give up. I'm not giving up. Let's put it that way.
There's little things that happen. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk across you there. That, for example, a couple of shows ago, Steve suggested getting a pen and you can use it to defend yourself. quite lethal, or a toothbrush. Now, without that knowledge, somebody somewhere that might save someone's life. What you said, we don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I take a Sharpie with me now. Why? Because I like writing things down. But I know.
Does it matter what colour, by the way?
Well, you take the top
Is
off.
red a better colour to choose?
But
Well,
seriously,
I was thinking about that
yeah.
actually the other day. That potentially, even if you don't need to use the Sharpie to smack someone with, you could draw on them, couldn't you? You could just like put dots all over the face.
That's
I mean,
right.
that'd be more embarrassing for them than being beaten up with a Sharpie pen, wouldn't it?
He's
Because they'd never
that's
get it off.
right.
They'd walk around with spots all over the
Got
face.
chicken pox. But no, seriously, it is that is a very simple advice, but it's a piece of advice. It's a bit like the invention of the paperclip. Why didn't I think of that? And that is the experience thing. I mean, that was a brilliant piece of advice. And you never know, Steve, you may have saved a girl from being attacked. You just don't know. But that little piece of advice, it's surprising. And the thing I saw, do you remember before the lockdown, we had the yellow vests? And it's been taken down off of YouTube, I believe. And I saw something that was really interesting. Somebody of military training, you probably heard me say this before, must have known what they're doing. Somebody is very good at organising. And what happened is you got the French police with all their helmets and everything, their batons, and somebody was photographing this from the top floor or near the top of a block of flats, but there's a narrow alleyway. And there's a crowd taunting the police, and the police are going with their batons. And then the police start to get surrounded at the mouth of this alley, this kind of, I wouldn't say alleyway, but it's a kind of a narrow pathway, shall we say, between some buildings. And a large crowd of people go up this alleyway, and the police, and then they run away from the police. What you don't realise, they've done it deliberately. The police gave chase, and they didn't realise it was actually a trap. And eventually they were surrounded. And in French, this chap says, you will not be harmed. Remove your helmets. But we won't harm you. And they were terrified, the police. They're removing their helmets. Right. Now we want to know your name and address so that you will be charged with, assault against civilians and that. And the person took the details out. They said, and they kept saying, you will not be harmed. And these police, you looked how terrified they were. And then suddenly a huge gangway was made, and the police walked away. That's using the brains. And somebody was bloody brilliant at work that out. They really worked that out. That was military. Military.
So what I would say that I mentioned before, there's tactical, there's operational, and there's strategic values in war fighting principles. So that would, to basically, I mean, I'm guessing here because I don't know the situation or the ins and outs of it. But if somebody's had that measure of organization towards the conduct of how they're going to perform something, i.e., like say an ambush for the police, well, that would be classed as an operational component. What I would say to that is where we need to be. So the entire truth movement, as individuals, not just us as a collective, but us as individuals, we need to engage this in order to come up with strategic values. Strategic is beyond the operational values. It's the all-encompassing sort of parameters of the whole operation, to think outside the box, to get inside the headspace of your opponent by understanding what they do, what their limitations are, what weaponry they use, what's their key terrain. All of these things build up a picture. When we understand that in full detail, then we can come up with a strategic battle plan. So, I mean, I've made a loose one on the Occult Academy because it's understandable. And what I say, it's a 3-phase operation. It starts with the selection and maintenance of the aim, which is a generic understanding of what freedom is. And if I may, allow me to read out again, just in a sentence, what freedom is. If we're aiming to achieve freedom, then we must accept that this is an outcome of a morally lenient society that embraces and accepts philosophical concepts such as self-ownership, the non-aggression, and the self-defense principle, along with natural law. So if any of those things, of the words I've used there, things like self-defense, natural law, non-aggression, if people don't understand that, that's something that they need to learn in order to accept and assimilate what freedom is. The next thing, again, second part of this three-phase operation is a precision education, because we need to be to the point where we basically start to take our own love of wisdom, the philosophizing, by promoting autodidactic learning and highlighting. There's some key information that I'll probably, if I get the chance, I'll mention it at the end of the show, which will fast track our understanding of critical information. And the third thing is about mindset, and that mindset needs to be what I call is a battle winning mindset.
Yes.
Which is basically, I mean, you could probably guess this. Most people kind of intuitively understand this. Things like motivation. We need to think strategically. We need to invest in determined individual effort. We need to have a desire to succeed, and we need to be able to embrace and understand the needs of others, and promote the material and the education and the mindset that we've got. In alchemy, in the occult, this is known as the alchemical great work. And again, this is something that I would definitely recommend people look into, because you want to win ultimately the three-phase answer to how to win this war, the great work, the alchemical great work. That's how you win. But if you don't know that, because you've not assimilated the knowledge, the mindset, and the and basically the information to highlight what that means, well, we're gonna struggle a lot.
Well, I think we've got an example, and I don't know where they've gone now, but I had a lot of admiration for the yellow vests in France, because they did number one, they didn't have a leader. Number two, when the government wanted to speak to them, they said, "Who did you speak to? We haven't got a leader." And then the government infiltrated and took them over, I believe. But before they took them over, the things they were doing were quite incredible. They were actually going to these motorways where you have to pay a toll, and letting people through free, waving them on. You didn't pay a toll. Busmen were not accepting fares from people. They were literally fighting back against the government and all the infrastructure. So people, elderly people that still got their bus to where they want to go to, but they didn't pay a penny. And this is what they were doing. They were very clever what they're doing. They were bringing government to its knees. And but we haven't got the same sort of, I don't know, fieriness that the French have got.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your view of the French yellow vest? I mean, I admired them when they first began. I thought they had a brilliant idea, and their tactical plans were clever. And
it's all well and good, but in reality, I mean, and this is the thing. What happened then has happened. You can't change that. But what we need to do is invest in a more strategically aligned future by realizing and coming to terms. And what the yellow vests probably didn't realize is they were basically bargaining and negotiating with their slave masters ultimately, because they didn't get them out. They didn't get them out of power.
No,
the government are still established in France, and the government in France still managed to do heinous things regarding the medical nonsense.
Yeah, but the medical emergency came along, didn't it? And that did away with the yellow vests.
Yeah, but imagine
yeah.
Sorry, mate, I'll let you continue.
But what I was going to say, if they'd have continued on, they'd have bring the government to its knees, and government would have been out. And they would have said they would have got shot at government, and they didn't achieve it.
So the only way to get shot of government is by a society, a large portion of society, literally not believing in the concept of authority. You can come up with any kind of tactical or operational plan in order to counteract whatever government are doing. Bearing in mind the word government means mind control, and that's key, because if they control our minds, well, the way to not have investment in government is to control your own mind. If you control your own mind, and this is what spiritual awakening is, you can't be spiritually awakened and believe in the concept of ownership. You can't be a slave and then say that you are a sovereign being. That just means you're actually a dumb sovereign slave. You're a dumb slave who thinks they're sovereign. It doesn't work. You're either sovereign because you own your own mind, because you're an anarchist. An anarchist is somebody who doesn't believe in ownership. The word means no masters. And if you've got no masters, you're not a slave. But if you own your own mind, you're either a complete imbecile, because you've got some sort of mental impairment, or you have reached a stage of an internal monarchy, i.e., you've become the monarch of your own mind. You are the king of your own destiny. And if you understand you own yourself, well, you're not going to let the government tell you how to live your life. So the way is, and this is where the truth movement need to align themselves. If the truth movement are not they're not standing up and saying, I'm an anarchist and I'm proud to be one. Why? Because it means I am the master of my own mind. Even though I'm facing physical restrictions, I own my own mind. The government do not own me. And if the government do not own you, well, they can't do things like, inject the elderly with midazolam, or give children the toxic arms spear. And let's face, and this is what really boils my cup of tea, to the point of evaporation, is the fact that we've allowed innocent civilians, including women, children, and babies, to get absolutely, poisoned beyond compare with whatever's been going on. And why are we, I'll be honest, why are we not just absolutely, why is our blood not boiling at the point where we're piercing people with blinking pitchforks at this stage? I do not understand.
The thing is, though, Steve, it's as much as the arms spears are part of that issue, it's the fact, I suppose the fact of the matter is that any newborn baby is pumped with, well, is it about 20 odd different vaccines now before they get to the age of 2 or 3? To me, that's one of the biggest targets we should be looking at is why are we, as a species, allowing babies to be injected with shit they don't even need? A healthy woman would produce a healthy baby, and they don't need all the other crap that they get.
Well, precisely. We survived this long, thousands of years, haven't we?
Autism and all these other things that are about. I mean, I said to you a while back, I was traveling back from Oswestry, the one down on a bus, and everybody on board that bus, I looked at and thought, there's a lot of damaged people about, and that all boils back down to what they've had when they were born, and until that bit changes as well, we need, I suppose, we need to get back to natural health, not
I agree.
big pharma, which is interesting with that word that was on there before.
You're right.
I don't understand why women, and I'm not being sexist in any way, shape, or form here, but a woman must know that she's giving birth to the most precious thing she could ever have. Why would you then want to, as soon as that child's born, why would you want to inject it with toxic shite that's effectively going to affect that individual for the rest of their life? Their life pattern's already been changed. When this child should be the most healthiest they possibly could be. I'd imagine that 100 years ago, 200 years ago, autism and all these other diseases and illnesses that have come about were non-existent.
Yeah, you're right.
In a similar way, I mean, I might have mentioned this before. We understand that natural food's better for our body and our health. We understand that natural medicine's better for ourselves, and we understand that if we start putting poisons in and injecting chemicals and medications, etc., ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to harm the environment. We're going to harm the organism, the human body. And equally, and this is why natural law is important, because if we want governance of society so we can live cohesively and have sentiments of peace and goodwill with higher attainments of moral behaviors, then what we need to do is we need to have a natural system. And that natural system was designed on the day that the world came into creation. It's called natural law. It's a science. It's a science of spiritual values, which can be, this isn't my, I'm not just quoting off a religious book. This is something that we can understand through the capacity to reason. We can understand in our heads. It doesn't have to be written on a bit of paper. We can see it. And if we can process what we observe in the natural world, i.e. things like the law of cause and effect, again, you don't need to write it on paper to actually see how it works. You hold something in your hand, you drop it, it falls. Cause, effect. Again, and you can apply that across the whole spectrum of reality. The law of polarity, the law of correspondence, the law of gender, the law of vibration, the law of mentalism. There's the principles that operate in the universe, and combine them, it's known as natural law. And when we understand that and process it, we can come up, we can see that there is a system in place which is the behaviors that we enable through our actions give the component that we experience in reality. So good behaviors, we get order and we get freedom. Bad behaviors, immoral, give us chaos, and they give us enslavement. So it's simple.
Yeah. And you can see how sick society has become when you see graffiti up the walls, people not respecting places where they live. And that is how mentally I think it's got people. But on that note, thanks, Steve, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul, for coming on the show. I don't know what happened to Nathan Allenby tonight for the show, but I don't know what's happened. Anyway, that's life. Thanks, as I say, thank you again. And this Thursday, Paul English has Max Egan on the show. So that should be something rather interesting.
Oh, nice.
And remember, shove the old thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you can. It's free. And whatever happens,